A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gut of the prison of the grave. This time, rain slashing a glass roof, an old man's curiosity, and an imaginary imp out of place. They all became important when two people died violently so a third could make a killing.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Fatted Calf.
The first film of the season came as a surprise. It always does in L.A., where somehow or other people are never ready for it. It's funny in a town where people are ready for anything. Where every year the opening slash of lightning stands nerves on edge and cracks composure like it was so much Dresden china. And by 5 o'clock in an afternoon of driving rain and thick gray sky, I was no exception. I wasn't helped any by the arrival of a special delivery letter. A $100 bill enclosed which dragged me out of my suddenly cozy office, into my car and over to Studio City in the San Fernando Valley, where, according to the letter, Junius Poppy, the veteran cartoonist and creator of the impish Peter Pageant comic strip, wanted to see me at once. But as I wound up the spiral of macadam called Sunswept Drive toward number 3840, I forgot about the storm around me and wondered instead about the man I was going to meet. Wondered just how many parts Pixie, the originator of a half-leprechaun, half-very funny human being who tickled the nation's satiric funny bone daily from coast to coast was going to be. And when I was parked in front of the place, which was a few million raindrops bouncing off a roof that was all glass, out of my car and going to the front door, I had made up my mind. Junius Poppy had to be small, slight, delicate, and maybe self-effacing, but certainly pleasant.
Mr. Marlowe?
How wrong can I be?
Eh?
Oh, Mr. Poppy.
Yes, of course. Come in. You're getting wet. Follow me. But don't touch anything. You're soaked.
Junius Poppy was tall, heavy-set, gruff, and a crab. I dripped little puddles of water behind him through a long hall into a studio, which was a half a dozen easels under twice as many fluorescent lights, and a litter of Peter Pageant drawings everywhere. Then, while Mr. Poppy did not offer me drink, cigarette, or even chair, I became resourceful. I took off my own coat, dropped it in a corner where it sloshed into a disgruntled heap, and I defiantly lit a cigarette and started to...
Please, I despise tobacco.
Oh, excuse me.
Now, first, Mr. Marlowe, a few facts. I've been drawing Peter Pageant for 27 years, but unlike most of the syndicated cartoonists, I employ no staff. We use no material, allow nothing to be published that I haven't created personally, down to the last stroke of the pen. However, I do have an assistant who serves two purposes. One, he inks in the balloon.
What?
The circle is where the words go.
Oh.
And two, and more important, he watches me work daily so that when I'm gone, yes, even cartoonists die, you know, Peter Pageant will continue uninterrupted. My assistant is named Sid Kagan, and he, to be more exact, his wife, Louise, is the reason I'm hiring you.
Twice I opened my mouth to ask a question, but twice he waved the question aside. So liking him less by the minute, I listened to him tell me what for the past week Kagan had been. First preoccupied, then upset, and finally rebellious. Poppy, a bachelor who didn't want to lose a good man because of anything as trivial as a marital problem, had investigated and learned that Louise Kagan had spent a week in San Francisco recently. But he hadn't learned any more because an appointment he had made with her to talk it all over, since the sleuthing was not subtle, hadn't quite come off.
Yesterday, Marlowe. We were to meet at a cocktail lounge. I was early, and so I saw her come in and sit down. She's the type of tall brunette you don't miss. I was about to start toward her when she suddenly leaped from her table and hurried out of the place.
For no reason?
Please don't interrupt me, Marlowe. Of course she had a reason. She was frightened at the sight of a man approaching her. He was very ugly. Patent leather hair, sallow complexion, eyes that belonged to a hawk. He followed her out, but she got away from him. And then he disappeared, too.
Louise hasn't called you since to explain?
Until late last night, no. And then she apologized and lied about why she didn't show up. Forgot, she said.
Casual-like. Huh?
Overly casual-like, Mr. Mann. Please don't touch those drawings.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, now. We made another appointment for 6:30 tonight at a different place. An artist hangout called the Talisman on Lancashire. This time, Marlowe, I want you to go in my place. Perhaps my approach is too mechanical.
There's just a chance. Now, Mr. Poppy, a few questions. First, the Kagan's home address.
717 Magnolia Boulevard.
717. And Kagan himself, he's still working for you regularly?
Yes, although he called this morning, said he was sick. Now, please, ask your questions quickly. I must return to my work. Peter Paget's schedule, 4 frames a day, hasn't been interrupted in 27 years. Oh, here, this might interest you. Here, take a look at this. The last frame has a lot of detail.
Yeah, it has. Peter addressing the U.S. Senate, huh? Cute. You always work in pencil and ink in later?
Yes, that's right. Now, anything else?
Yeah, there is, Mr. Poppy. The whole business. Kagan's problem. I mean, if it's only a case of a gal not being true to a guy, I quit and you get your dough back. I graduated from the over-the-transom class.
Louise Kagan is not the kind of girl who plays around. I know.
What makes you so sure?
For one thing, an example. Maynard Roper.
Who?
Maynard Roper. He's an agent for Empire Features, the syndicate that handles my work. And though extremely handsome and what the ladies would call smooth, he got no place being, should I say, attentive to Louise. I could tell, I observed. Now, satisfied?
For the moment, you can still play that Roper just wasn't her type. I'll call you later, Mr. Poppy. Goodbye. And don't bother showing me out. I can find the way myself. Impulse number 1 said nuts to the funny on paper only, Mr. Poppy. But impulse number 2 said, quiet, Marlowe. It's the storm that's making you jumpy, and there's a $100 bill in your pocket. So I got into my car and drove the 1.5 miles to 717 Magnolia Boulevard, where I figured I'd look over the Kagan home grounds before it was time for me to show it the Talisman. As I drove past the place, I saw there was a light in the living room. And a woman, brunette and attractive, who was no doubt the lady of the house, paging through a magazine. And things stayed like that each time I came around the block. But 20 minutes later, when I parked in front of a nearby corner drugstore to get cigarettes, I forgot the lady of the house because getting out of a parked car in front of me was a man with sallow complexion and eyes borrowed from a hawk, easily seen by the rain-splashed light from the display windows. And when he hurried inside into a phone booth, I saw the patent leather hair Mr. Poppy had already described. When he got his call through and turned his back to the street, I moved quickly to his car, opened the front door, struck a match, and read the name and address on the owner's card strapped around the steering wheel. It was Bert Slack, 200 Central Avenue, San Francisco, California. The city in which Louise Kagan had recently chosen to spend a week. The clock on the dashboard reminded me it was 6:15 and time to head for my rendezvous with the Talisman. But a little voice deep inside said Mr. Bert Slack shouldn't. So, for what it was worth, I reached under the dashboard and yanked the ignition wire. And I got back into my car, hoping to gain 10 minutes, and headed toward the club on Lancashire Boulevard.
Scotch and soda, sir? Keep the rain from soaking all the way through, you know.
Yeah, all right. Another scotch and soda. Hey, wait a minute. That lady there, the one in the blue cape just came in?
Oh, yes.
Ask her to come over to Mr. Poppy's table, will you? We'll order them.
All right, sir. In a jiffy.
Keep the rain from soaking all the way through. Isn't that awful?
Sir, I'm awfully sorry I'm late, Junior's. Oh, excuse me. Waiter, you've made a mistake.
No, Mrs. Kagan. The mistake was mine on purpose. You wouldn't have known me by name.
Which is what?
Philip Marlowe. I'm a friend of Junius's. He was tied up with his work tonight and asked me to keep this date for him. Like a drink?
No, thanks. I haven't got the time. But why didn't Junius call me or leave a message here?
I don't know. Perhaps he forgot or...
Perhaps you're a liar. Perhaps he called my place after I left, then called here. Waiter.
Yes, ma'am?
Will you please check with the captain and see if anyone left a message for Mrs. Kagan, please?
Yes, ma'am.
And on your way back, 2 scotch and sodas, huh?
Yes,
Now, just a minute, Mr. Marlowe. I've already said no.
As long as we're playing things back, you already said I was a liar. Why?
Because Junius told me that my meeting with him would be personal. And since he's gone far enough out of his way to even call me on the telephone about it, it must also be important to him.
It is. As important to him as, say, San Francisco is to you.
San Francisco. So you're not really a friend of Junius Poppy?
Not buddy-buddy, no. But I am a friend of Bert Slack.
You know Slack?
Yeah. Now, why don't you sit down, Louise? Our drinks are coming.
Well, here we are. 2 scotches and sodas. Just the thing to keep the rain... Oh. I already said that once, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, well, 2 scotches and sodas, just like you ordered. Oh, and no message for you, Mrs. Kagan.
Thank you. Mr. Marlowe, you know about San Francisco, you know about Bert Slack, and somehow or other you know I was supposed to meet Junius Poppy here, and he couldn't make it. So why don't you just sit here and think it out all by yourself, huh? I'm going.
Come back here.
Let go of my arm.
When I'm ready, gentle lady.
Which might be right now, don't you think?
Oh, Maynard, thank heaven you're here.
I usually am, Louise. Well, my good man, have you reached a decision? About the young lady's arm, I mean. Let go.
Maynard, please see that he doesn't follow me.
It'll be a pleasure, Louise. What are we drinking, Mr.
Marlowe. Scotch and soda. Wonder what keeps that from soaking through. Maynard Roper, the handsome syndicate agent Junius Poppy had tagged very smooth, was also very snide. When he slid into the booth next to me and we each had a fresh drink while Louise Kagan put distance between us, I knew that the urge I had to punch him in his finely chiseled Grecian nose could not be blamed on the stormy weather. It would be just as much fun on a sunny day. And a couple of minutes later, when he got up, flashed, glistening uppers and lowers at me, and started to leave with a worse than snide, "Bye-bye, boy." I had to hold on tight. Somewhere along the line, I slipped. "Hey, Roper, you forgot something."
Oh? Well, what is it?
This. There we go. Also, you didn't thank me for your drink. It was rude of you. Bye-bye, boy. Outside, I felt better. As I walked around to the alley behind the club where I parked my car, I noticed that the rain that tightened up to a drizzle that was about ready to call it quits. That a corner of the sky already showed dark blue with a single star front and center. What I didn't notice until I was in line with my front fenders was company on hand.
I've been waiting for you.
He was small, with wide-open eyes that flashed something close to hysteria, the length of a long, thin arm that was pointed at me and trembled while the hand awkwardly held a gun for what had to be his first time.
I'm Sid Kagan. I want to know why you're following my wife, what you had to do with her. I do know that you're a private detective and that your name is Philip Marlowe. That Junius Poppy hired you. That much I found out.
And you ought to be able to put the rest together yourself. You're a big boy now. Junius is worried about you, Kagan, because you in turn are worried about your wife. Look, he wants to help you all the way around.
I don't believe you. I only believe that people are bothering Louise, molesting her, driving her out of her mind, and I want to stop them. I want to protect her.
All right. You take a look at this picture and see if you can tell me whether or not this is one of those you say are molesting her.
Picture? Let me see.
I can't. It's only a calling card, Kagan.
Don't give me that gun.
Sure. With the clip out. Here. Now, also, I'll give you some advice. Go on home, Kagan, and soak your hot head in a bucket ice cold. It's the most you can do to help. Now beat it before I get mad. Go on.
All right. I'll go. But remember, Marlowe, I'm still going to protect my wife.
Yeah, I'll remember, Kagan. You jerk. Nothing as stupid as an amateur with a gun.
Stand still, Marlowe. I'm no amateur.
Oh, fine.
I wouldn't bother looking under the hood, either. We're now even. One torn ignition wire deserves another.
Well, Mr. Slack. You and that 38 been waiting long?
Long enough. So you're a private detective, huh? Now, that's interesting. I'm a private eye, too.
Really? You find crumbs in every profession. Where do we go from here?
No place. It's a team, anyhow. I'm finished. I've done my little job. I'm leaving town. The personal business that brought me here is over and done with. All's well. You'd be smart to look at it that way yourself, Jack.
Yeah, brilliant. We'd go over big with my client, wouldn't it?
What's the difference how it goes over with your client now? Why don't you read the papers?
Meaning what?
The latest edition. Here, catch. And read.
Junius Poppy.
Out loud, Marlowe, please.
Found dead in his Studio City home. Creator of Peter Pageant shot to death.
Mm-hmm. Surprised, huh?
Yeah, plenty.
Well, that's too bad. But I guess you'll get over it. Why do you walk all the way down this alley without turning around? Now, go on. Move, Mr. Marlowe, as directed. Goodbye.
In a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, You'll say, where is the time gone? When you listen to Club 15, the great quarter-hour show of melody, song, and patter starring Dick Hames with the Andrews sisters, Evelyn Knight and the Modernaires. You'll like singing host Dick Hames. You'll like song stars Evelyn Knight and the Andrews sisters. In fact, you'll like everything about Club 15. Listen every weekday evening over most of these same CBS stations.
Tune in this fall for the show that you love best of all. Listen carefully, here's the address. It's CBS.
Now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Fatted Calf.
When the man named Slack with a code of ethics to match said walk, I walked. By the time I'd taken 10 steps, I knew that he was already gone, so I went back to my car, cursed my way through a fast repair job on the wiring, and headed for my late client's studio again. When I got there, the usual messy routine of cameras, tape measures, and notebooks was still in progress, and I was about to go inside. But changed my mind when I saw Louise Kagan step blithely out the door and walk almost jauntily over the flagstones that led from the house to the parking area. Hey, Louise, wait!
Oh, you again? Well, what do you want?
Just one good, morbid reason why you're not making with tears over what's inside?
I never lost any love in there. If I pretended I had, it wouldn't fool anybody for 5 minutes. Nobody liked Junius Poppy, and I was no exception.
I'd go real easy with that kind of talk from now on if I were you.
What's that crack supposed to mean?
That not later than tomorrow morning, your husband, Sid, will take over Peter Pageant completely.
So?
So you struck gold, you're in, you got it made.
Are you implying that I had something to do with Junius's death?
Oh, I doubt that you pulled the trigger, baby, personally. But there's a good, solid connection, and I'm going to find it. Where's your husband? Inside with the police?
No. I came here looking for him. He must be at home.
Mm-hmm. How much do the cops know so far?
Nothing except that Junius died between 2 and 3 hours ago. Look, why don't you trot in and ask them yourself, Quizmaster?
I don't think they can help me. You see, I'm still interested in a big, ugly question mark all wrapped up with San Francisco.
Look, Mr.
And before I turn loose of it, I'll understand it, believe me. I'm going over to your place now to talk to Sid. Can I give you a lift?
No, thank you.
Suit yourself. I'll get there ahead of you, and I might find something you wouldn't want me to know about.
All right. I'll ride with you. Let's go.
Let's do that. Get in.
Thanks so much for the ride. You know, I wouldn't have enjoyed it a bit more in a hearse.
You can drop the acid routine, Louise. I got a thick skin. Let's go inside.
Now, look, Marlowe. Sid isn't home. I can see from here the lights are out.
Only proves somebody turned a switch. Come on, open up.
All right. Come on.
That's better.
And since you're making yourself so at home, you might as well make yourself a drink.
Hey, it's a good idea. Nice little bar you got here, honey. Always easy to talk with a drink in your... Hey, Louise, these papers on the table. Ever seen them before?
What are they?
Contracts, I'd say. Yeah, all filled out. Just waiting for Kagan's signature. So your husband is now a full-fledged big-time cartoonist. What do you know? Pretty fast work, huh?
Just what do you...
Creator of Peter Pageant's been dead not more than 3 hours, and already his successor's contracts are drawn up. No wonder Junius was bitter.
Maynard Roper had those drawn up beforehand, just in case.
Yeah, just in case somebody's patience ran out. Could be your husband's. I want to talk to him.
You're out of your mind.
He's been here, baby, and not long ago either. Here's his trench coat on the chair.
What?
Maybe he left again and maybe he didn't. Now, you take a look through the rest of the house, and if you find him, tell him to come on out. There's still time to talk. Well, go on. She gave me a glare that said she'd like to run my head through a garbage disposal unit and walk past me into the hall. As I held the trench coat, I saw an interesting smudge on the elbow of the right sleeve. It was an imprint of the little cartoon character, Peter Pageant, in the exact pose I'd seen earlier. Peter Pageant addressing the United States Senate. It could only mean one thing. The right sleeve of the coat I was holding had been jammed down into wet ink on Junius Poppy's drawing board shortly after I'd left the studio at night. I was still looking at the coat when Louise came back. She started to say something, but the doorbell interrupted and kept on interrupting, and finally she walked over and answered it. It was Bert Slack, the man from San Francisco. His face, green and waxy, would have worn the same look if he'd been falling out of a 10-story window and knew he couldn't hold on. He gripped the door casing with both hands, like a slow-motion fireman sliding down a pole. Suddenly, he jerked up one hand and pointed at Louise. He turned his eyes at me and tried to speak. Then he took 5 sliding, stumbling steps into the room and pitched headlong to the floor. The handle of a knife, ringed by a patch of drying blood, stuck out of his back between his shoulder blades.
Oh, Sid, you
Sid,
couldn't have...
you think Sid did it? Why, Louise? What's the reason?
No, I didn't mean that. Oh, get away, get out of here.
Not yet. Slack was a cheap private eye from San Francisco, and you just got back from there. What happened up there, Louise? Why do you think your husband had to kill this guy?
No, I won't tell you. I don't know anything. Oh, leave me alone. Get away from me.
All right. Get hold of yourself. You're hysterical. Now listen to me. Where does Roper live? Come on. Maynard Roper, his address.
94 Addison Avenue. Why?
Because your husband might be there, and I want to talk to him now more than ever. You're on your own, baby. Get good and hysterical if you want to. I'll see you. 94 Addison Avenue was a shellac pine under ivy bungalow hiding behind 10 feet of manicured hedge and flanked by a small swimming pool that involved more chromium than water. When the door opened in response to a deep-toned gong, I saw several $1,000s worth of Chinese modern doodads behind the quilted silk smoking jacket wrapped around Maynard Roper, who first glared a helping of hate at me and then changed his mind and smiled.
Well, hello, Marlowe. You seen our hot-tempered Louise lately?
Yeah, I just left her. She had the temper scared out of her when a guy died on a living room floor.
How horrible.
Yeah. This one had a knife in his back. He'd been carrying it for some time. Made it as far as Kagan's because he had something important to say, but he couldn't get it out. His name was Slack from San Francisco. Ever hear of him?
Slack? Why, no.
They tell me, have you seen Sid Kagan recently? I mean, within the last hour?
Yes, twice. Once when I took his new contracts to his place, and again when he came here to talk them over. He left a few minutes ago.
Say where he was going?
No. Wait. He did say he intended to stop at a drugstore. He had a headache.
Which drugstore?
Well, the one down the street about a block.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but look, Marlowe, surely you don't really believe that Sid killed this man?
He had a motive.
You realize what you're saying? What have you got to go on, actually?
A slip his wife made, and a Peter Pageant that turned up out of place.
Oh, Louise was no doubt hysterical. Under those circumstances, I'd be, too. And as for Peter Pageant, don't forget that Sid's been practicing him for 6 years. He probably combs Peter Pageant's out of his hair at night.
Not this one. It was on a trench coat sleeve. I found it in Sid Kagan's living room. It was picked up from wet ink on Junior's Poppy's drawing board tonight. In fact, it was the last Peter Pageant Junior's drew before he was killed. That's what I've got to go on, Mr. Roper, so thanks and good night. I got in my car and drove fast till I found the drugstore and then pulled up across the street from the place and watched. A cab was waiting out in front. When the door opened in the store, I started to get out, but stopped again as Sid Kagan, the collar of his trench coat, turned up high. And both hands, thrust deep in his pocket, shouldered his way out. Got in a cab and drove away. I sat there for a few minutes until the crazy logic of the crazy pattern finally sank in. And I turned and drove back toward 94 Addison. A few houses down the street I parked, got out, and after dropping my gun in my pocket, I left my hand curled around it and walked in past the chromium swimming pool up to the pine and ivy house and looked in. It was deserted. I turned and started for the gate again, but that was as far as I got.
I'm not inside, Marlowe. I'm here behind you. Don't move.
Automatic and all, huh? Didn't think you had nerve enough to stick here and wait for me, Roper.
I had no choice. Raise them up slowly and don't turn around. I'll take your gun first. Okay. Now get inside.
So it was your trench coat I found at Kagan's, huh? You forgot and left it there when you took the contracts over.
Yes, and when you told me about it, I followed you. I saw you spot Kagan still wearing his coat at the drugstore, and I knew then that you'd come back here after me.
Why?
Stand still.
Sure. You know, you might have gotten away with old Junius Poppy's murder because you were the only one with no motive, apparently. But you cluttered it up by killing your partner, Slack, too.
Slack was stupid and loud-mouthed. He'd have double-crossed me or let the cat out of the bag the first time he got drunk. Blackmailers have to keep their secrets or they go out of business fast. With you, it's obvious that I have no choice. It's you or me.
Yeah. You're a smart boy, Roper. How'd you manage to cut in on what Slack knew?
He tried to find out from me whether Sid loved his wife enough to pay to keep her out of jail and how much he could demand and expect to get. I told you he was stupid.
Believe me, chum, the idea of getting rid of Junior so Sid could get enough money to make blackmailing him worthwhile was quite a switch.
But one a good agent might think of. Stand still. Don't try for anything on that table.
Why not? What are you saving me for? More conversation?
No. I just wanted to get my breath. I've had quite a day, remember? All right. Let's go now.
Where?
Out back to the garage. Go on.
Just Marlowe!
Davy, Louise!
Marlowe, is he dead?
I don't know. I don't think so. You sure picked a sweet time to show up, baby. How'd you manage it?
I was out there a long time listening. When I realized what was happening, I came in.
Yeah. Saved my thick skin or kill a blackmailer.
Once I killed a man, unintentionally. I didn't want to do it again, even him. But tonight, when I thought Sid had stabbed Bert Slack because of it, I couldn't stand it any longer. I came over to find you and turned myself in.
The big question mark on San Francisco?
Oh, there was a brawl. I got mixed up in it. A man had a gun, and in the struggle, it went off and killed him. I was scared silly. I ran away, but Slack had seen the whole thing. He even got the gun with my fingerprints all over it. And... Well, that's that. Let's go, Marlowe.
Yeah. Okay, baby. Let's go. Two refills, please.
Okay.
Better have some more, Sid. It's going to be a long night.
Yes. I still can't get it through my head that this has happened, Marlowe. I can't realize it. Slack saw that fight in San Francisco, got the gun with Louise's fingerprints on it, and came here to blackmail.
That's right. He went to Roper for information on you, and Roper was smart enough to peg it and cut in. Killed Junior, so you'd get more money by taking over the strip, and then...
And then he and Slack began to fight between themselves, and Maynard killed him, too.
Mm-hmm.
How can there be people like that?
Same way there can be rattlesnakes, black widow spiders, and cancer.
Marlowe, what is going to happen to Louise?
I don't know, Sid.
Oh,
But she's got something now she didn't have before.
what is that?
You. You loved her all the time. But she didn't know what that meant. She does now. Look, she might be finished with the police. Maybe you better go over, huh?
Yes, I guess I'd better. Good night, Phil. And thank you.
So long, Sid. As he crossed the street and went into police headquarters, I turned back to my coffee and thought about Peter Pageant. The impish, whimsical little character with a sly, knowing smile, half sad, half amused at the foibles of the world. Yeah, the world seems more and more to be made of halves. Like that old song. How's it go? Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm blue. Sudden storms and sudden calms. Maybe most of us are only half alive, huh? Take me, for instance. Half of me wants to go home and sit in front of a roaring fire with a drink and a good book. And the other half? Yeah, there's always that other half.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman McDonnell. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Vivi Janis, Howard McNear, Parley Bear, Bill Johnstone, and David Ellis. The special music is composed and conducted by Richard Orant. Be sure and be with us next week when Philip Marlowe says...
It started with a wreck and went from there to double murder over $75,000 worth of glitter that nobody got in the end. Because I found out just in time what was fishy about the tale of the mermaid.
If you want to keep ahead of the headlines, listen every weekday evening, Monday through Friday, over most of these same CBS stations, to Edward R. Murrow with the news. Mr. Murrow is radio's most distinguished reporter. His informal but informed manner of presenting the news has earned him more awards than any other newscaster on the air. This is Paul Masterson speaking. Now stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sloan's Liniment, your faithful friend when muscles ache in pain, presents Gangbusters.
Calling the police, calling the G-men, calling all Americans to war on the underworld.
Gangbusters, brought to you, the men and women of America, by the makers of Sloan's Liniment. With the cooperation of leading law enforcement officials of the United States, Gangbusters presents facts in the relentless war of the police on the underworld. Authentic case histories that show the never-ending activity of the police in their work of protecting our citizens. America's crusade against crime. You, too, can help in our crusade. Here's a last-minute police bulletin.
Nationwide alarm. Attention all citizens. Watch for Clifford Davidson, 32, 5 feet 7 inches, 208 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes. This man, veteran criminal and escape artist, broke from jail Wewoka, Oklahoma last week, where he is awaiting trial for murder, allegedly committed following a previous escape from prison. Caution, this man is dangerous.
Gangbusters urges you to be on the alert for this criminal. We will have more clues for you at the end of our program. In a moment, we'll be ready for our proxy interview between Colonel H. Norman Schwarzkopf and prosecuting attorney Stanley Wallach of St. Louis County, Missouri, who will discuss the strange case of the missing corpse in which a dead man convicted as murderer. But first, April showers, they say, bring May flowers, but they also bring the muscular aches and pains that often go with damp and windy weather. Yet there's no need for any member of your family to suffer the discomfort of a stiff neck or sore back, just so long as you have that handy bottle of dependable Sloan's Liniment on your medicine shelf. Here's Sloan's 1-2 heat treatment that has brought such quick and comforting relief to millions. 1, pat on some Sloan's Liniment. 2, relax for a few minutes. Then, like a heat treatment, Sloan's glowing warmth goes to work on that tight and painful spot. In almost no time at all, Sloan's will help soothe your pain away. You'll find Sloan's quick action is a welcome friend, whatever the cause of your muscular distress. Accident, overexertion, or exposure to raw and biting weather. Ask your druggist for Sloan's Liniment if you need a fresh supply after the last few wintry months. Sloan's costs so little, and you're so grateful for its soothing help when you want relief in a hurry. Now for our proxy interview between Colonel Schwarzkopf and prosecuting attorney Stanley Wallach of St. Louis County, Missouri. Picture our setting as a special office turned over to Gangbusters by Commissioner Louis J. Valentine of the New York City Police. Colonel Schwarzkopf.
The case of the missing corpse. Prosecutor Wallach, that sounds almost like fiction.
Tonight's case may appear fantastic, Colonel Schwarzkopf, but it is a matter of public record. This case concerns Elmer Dowling and Izzy Lundy, two crafty criminals whose viciousness has seldom been matched by any criminals anywhere. We begin in St. Louis one late afternoon in February 1938 in the hideout apartment maintained by Elmer Dowling.
Drink up, Lundy.
Thanks, Dowling.
I asked you up here to explain what I got in mind for you.
What do you mean?
I'm considering you as trigger man for my outfit.
Trigger man, huh?
Yeah. Next thing I consider is what's your experience.
I got plenty.
I got it all right here on my desk. Here on this case history card. Izzy Lundy, known as Monkey Years. Robberies and other jobs, Marquette prison 10 to 20 years. Shot way out of jail, handy with guns.
How'd you find out all that, Dowling?
That's my business, to find things out. And to get things done.
Why should I join your mob, huh?
Listen, Lundy. When I want a man in my mob, he joins.
But I've been away for 13 years. I've been out of things.
I'll teach you the ropes. Then you'll be a big asset to my protective organization.
Protective organization?
Yeah. For businessmen and storekeepers. They pay us so much dough per week for protection.
Protection from our own gang.
But suppose the storekeepers squawk to the cops.
They know better than that. It's cheaper to pay up and shut up than to stop a bullet or get crippled for life.
Yeah. Sounds okay to me, Downing.
Lundy, before we're through, we'll have every store in the city in our protective organization. They're going to pay us, and they're going to pay plenty.
Good morning, mister. You remember me?
What are you men back here again for?
Hey, listen, mister, this is your last chance. Are you joining our protective organization or ain't you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, boys. Dump that paint all over the place. Give them the works.
Right, pal. No, stop it. Don't, please.
We're going to teach you a lesson, mister. And if you ever blab to the cops, you'll never see your wife or kids again. Go to it, boys. Don't answer that phone, buddy. My business comes first. You got the money for the organization?
I tell you, I can't pay you. I'm not taking enough money in my store.
You're trying to welch on the organization, huh? Well, I'll show you.
What are you going to do?
You know what's in this can?
No.
Acid.
Oh, don't.
It's all yours, mister. Right in your face.
Oh, my!
That's the dry cleaning store on the corner, Red. The one Dowling wants us to take care of.
I got the dynamite already, Lundy.
All right, drive by the store, and I'll light the fuse and heat it.
Hey, Lundy, there's a guy down the block.
Don't worry about the guy down the block. I'll light the fuse.
There! Step on it, then. There!
Emergency squad, explosion in dry cleaning store at Franklin and Jefferson Avenues at 10 p.m. Investigate immediately. Repeating, explosion in dry cleaning store, Franklin and Jefferson Avenues.
An hour later, Colonel, at headquarters.
We got that report, Moore? Yes, Captain. The emergency squad say dynamite was used to blow up that dry cleaning store.
Moore, we can be pretty certain who's back of this outbreak of violence. Racketeers extorting money from businessmen.
It's an ugly situation, Captain. We can't get witnesses to testify against these crooks.
Yes, crooks like Elmer Dowling.
Now we've got another bombing on our hands, and still no witness.
I'm assigning additional squads of plainclothesmen to cover various business places and stores and Yes?
Captain, there's a man out here by the name of Louis Lee Baker. He wants to see you.
What about?
He says it's about the bombing of that dry cleaning store tonight.
The bombing? Send him right in.
Yes, Captain. Right away, sir.
Moore, open the door.
Yes, sir. Come right in, sir. The captain will see you.
Thank you, officer. How do, Captain? My name's Baker.
Glad to see you, Mr. Baker. Have a chair.
Thank you.
You say you know something about this bombing tonight?
Well, I don't know if this means anything, Captain, but I thought I ought to report it anyway.
Report what, sir?
Well, at 10 o'clock, I was walking along Franklin Avenue.
Yes?
And just as I was about to cross the street, a car came racing down the avenue.
What happened?
Well, there was an explosion. I didn't know then it was a bomb. Later, I got thinking about it, and the bomb and the speeding car.
What kind of a car was it?
It was a Chrysler sedan. I didn't see the license number, but I did get a good look at one of the men in the car.
Oh, is that so?
He was sort of pasty looking. Had very black eyebrows and big lips.
Anything else?
Well, the one thing I noticed most of all were his ears.
His ears?
Yes, sir. They stuck way out.
What's that?
Well, I never saw a man whose ears stuck out so much, sir.
Was he stockily built?
Yes, he was.
This means something to you, Moore?
I'm not sure yet, Captain. But I used to know a criminal who fitted that general description to a T. Monkey ears, they called him. If it's the same man, he's a gunman of the worst type.
All right. We'll have Mr. Baker go through the identification files. If he can pick out the picture of the same criminal you have in mind, we'll have our first positive identification to help smash this gang.
And the picture that Louis Lee Baker identified, Colonel, was the picture of Monkey Ears. Izzy Lundy. The authorities moved fast and arrested him in a few hours.
Good police work, Prosecutor Wallach.
Indicted for this bombing, Lundy posted bail and was released by the courts pending trial. He immediately phoned Dowling.
Yeah, Dowling, that's why I'm calling you. That Baker guy's identified me for the bombing of that dry cleaning store. I'll go to jail, I would.
Hold it, Lundy. Where are you calling from?
From a drugstore. I'm afraid to come near you. The cops are on my trail.
I thought so. Now, let me think.
This is serious, Dowling. You've got to help me.
Yeah, I know how serious it is. Once the cops throw you in jail, they'll probably get more information that'll lead to me.
You? I'm the guy that's in a jam.
Well, think of the spot I'm in. Hey, wait a minute. What did you say is the name of the guy who saw the bombing?
Baker. Louis Lee Baker.
Baker, eh? Is he the only witness the cops got?
Yeah.
You sure of that?
Positive.
Good.
What do you mean, good?
If something should happen to this witness, the cops wouldn't have no case, would they?
That's right, Dowling.
Well, something is going to happen to him. We're going to find this guy, Baker. And when we do, he won't be a witness. He'll be a corpse.
Meanwhile, Colonel, at headquarters, the captain was talking with Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker, your identification of Izzy Lundy as the cleaning store bomber is the first good break we've had in our campaign to rid this city of racketeers.
I'm glad I'm able to help, Captain.
You'll realize, Mr. Baker, that your life is in constant danger.
Yes, sir.
That gang will stop at nothing, absolutely nothing, to prevent you from testifying at Lundy's trial. So we're going to hide you on a little farm near Sykeston, Missouri. You know where that is?
Yes, sir, about 150 miles south of here.
Yes. Under no circumstances are you to leave the farm unless accompanied by our men.
I understand, Captain.
When we want you, our men will show their credentials and will tell you, the captain wants to see you. Now remember that phrase. The captain wants to see you.
Yes, sir. The captain wants to see you.
Mr. Baker was taken to this farm, Colonel, and given ample police protection. Then a startling event occurred.
Prosecutor Wallet, we're anxious to hear this startling occurrence, but right now, here's Charles Stark with a few words.
Mowing the lawn for the first time after the long winter months is always a chore. The ground is uneven, the grass is tough, and you yourself are probably more than a bit tired and sore when you've finished. That's when you need Sloan's 1-2 heat treatment to bring you quick and comforting relief from muscular aches and pains. Here's all you have to do. 1, take your bottle of reliable Sloan's from your medicine shelf and pat on some of this quick-acting liniment. 2, relax. And then, like a heat treatment, Sloan's helps ease those stiff and aching muscles. You can actually feel that penetrating, glowing warmth easing away your pain. Sloan's liniment has helped millions in just this quick and easy way during the past 50 years. And Sloan's will probably do you the same good turn. You'll find Sloan's liniment a true family friend in need. Welcome to the members of your family all through the year. For whatever the cause of your muscular distress, accident, overexertion, or exposure to chilling drafts, you'll find that Sloan's will help you forget your aches and pains in almost no time at all. So make sure you always have a bottle of Sloan's on your medicine shelf. Ask your druggist tomorrow for Sloan's liniment. Now back to Colonel Schwarzkopf.
Prosecutor Wallet, with Mr. Baker hidden out on a farm near Sykeston, Missouri, and with Elmer Dowling threatening to kill Baker to prevent his testifying at Izzy Lundy's trial, you said a startling event occurred.
Baker stayed close to the farm, Colonel Schwarzkopf, awaiting word that the captain wanted to see him. Then, 1 week later, Baker was standing at the farm entrance when 2 men drove up and got out of their car.
Oh, Baker. Mr. Baker.
Yes, sir. You gentlemen want to see me?
Yes, Mr. Baker. We're detectives from headquarters.
Detectives? See our badges?
The captain sent us out. He wants to see you right away about that bombing.
The captain wants to see me.
Now, if you'll just get in the car.
But I'd like to leave word with the men at the farmhouse where I'm going.
We haven't
got
time for that. This is urgent, Mr. Baker. We don't want to keep the captain waiting.
Well, you know best, sir.
Sit right here in the front seat.
Thank you.
Right between the two of us.
You don't know what the captain wants to see me about, do you?
I'm not sure, but I think it has something to do with murder.
Gentlemen, we've been driving for an hour. It's getting dark. We're going in the wrong direction. This isn't the way to town.
Baker.
Yes, sir?
We're not going to town.
What?
The captain's going to meet us at a house just up the side road.
Oh, why didn't you tell me about this before?
We got our orders.
There's the place now.
Oh, that house looks deserted. There's no lights.
Don't worry about that, Baker.
Well, where's the captain's car if he's going to meet us out here?
Guess we're a little early. How about it, pal?
I guess we are.
Well, let's go in the house anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Come on, Baker.
I'd rather wait here in the car.
No, Baker. We're going inside.
Come on, Baker. Orders are orders.
All right. I'll do what you men say.
Quiet around here. Ain't it, Baker?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Let me take your arm, Baker.
Take my arm?
Yeah, it's so dark you might stumble.
You're sure the captain will be here?
Step inside, Baker.
It's so dark in here, I can't see.
Turn on your flashlight, pal.
Sure.
Go on inside, Baker.
Hey. There's no one in this house. It's empty. Deserted.
That's right, Baker. That's why we brought you here.
What do you mean?
Just this.
I did it for him all right, Dolly.
Wait. I want to make sure. Now we got nothing to worry about, Red. 2 bullets right through his head. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Dolly, you think anybody could have heard those shots?
Nah. No one lives within miles of this place.
Let's get in the car and scram.
Hey, Red. Wait a minute.
What's the matter?
We ought to get rid of that body.
Not me. I ain't going back to touch no corpse.
Red, unless you want the same thing Baker got, you better come with me.
Okay, darling. But I don't like it. Yes. It's quiet around here, ain't it?
And dark. Good spot for a job like this. Flash your light.
Darling, look.
Say, what the...
The corpse, the body. It's gone.
But it can't be. It was right here on the floor a minute ago. Flash your light around.
The room is empty.
But he was dead. I killed him. 2 bullets right through his head.
Then where is he?
A dead man can't get up and walk away.
I'm getting out of here.
Now, me too.
Prosecutor Wallach, do you mean to say the corpse, the victim's body, was actually gone?
Yes, Colonel. By a strange miracle of fate, Louis Lee Baker had not been killed. Though suffering intense agony, he had managed to crawl out the back door of the deserted house and hide. He saw the 2 gunmen return and then run off in terror when they found that his supposedly dead body had vanished.
So that's why the corpse was missing. What did Mr. Baker do?
He dragged himself to the side of the road where some passing workmen found him and rushed him to a hospital. Later that night, at the hospital, Baker talked with police officers.
That's the whole story, Captain. They shot me twice in my head, but I guess I'm too tough to kill.
I don't feel I ought to question you any further, Mr. Baker. You need rest.
I want to tell you all I know.
All right, Mo, take this down. Yes, Captain.
The man who shot me was a big fella, 6 feet, about 200 pounds.
Yes.
Blonde hair, blue eyes.
Now, take it easy, Mr. Baker.
I had a broken nose, no chin.
No chin?
Big fellow, blonde, blue eyes, broken nose, receding chin. Why, Captain, that description fits the man we arrested on suspicion but couldn't hold.
Yes, Elmer Dowling.
Captain, you know the man who tried to kill me.
Yes, Mr. Baker, and we're going to get him.
When you do, I'll be in court to testify.
Yes, sure. All right, now relax and get some sleep.
Yes, sir.
You'll need every bit of strength you've got.
Yes, Captain.
Come on, boy, we've got work to do.
That fellow Baker has more courage than a dozen men, Captain.
He certainly has more.
2 things I can't understand. How Dowling found Baker at the farm, and why should Dowling want to kill him?
Seems you can't hide anything from that gang. They probably followed every move Baker made. But I know why Dowling wanted to kill him. Baker's our only witness against Izzy Lundy. If Baker had been killed, Lundy would have gone free.
Then you think Lundy and Dowling are part of the same mob, eh?
It points that way.
Yes, it does.
More, I want you to grab Izzy Lundy and throw him back in jail immediately. This time he's going to stay in jail till he goes on trial.
Right, Captain.
Meanwhile, I'll get to work on Dowling. We're going to put the heat on every member of that gang until we get Dowling or they turn him over to us.
Within 5 hours, Colonel, the police had again arrested Izzy Lundy, and a search for Dowling was on. Warnings was flashed from coast to coast.
Attention, all field agents. Federal Bureau Investigation. Attempt to locate and hold for questioning Elmer Dowling in connection with attempted murder. Dowling is 6 feet tall.
Urgent. Police of Eastern Seaboard. Arrest on site Elmer Dowling, fugitive. Dowling weighs 200 pounds.
Special notice, West Coast Police. Elmer Dowling reported in California. Wanted for attempted murder. Dowling has blonde hair, blue eyes.
Attention, all Missouri police. Be on watch for Elmer Dowling, fugitive gangster, now at large. Dowling, believed to have returned to St. Louis, may be hiding out somewhere in city.
Dowling.
That you, Red?
Yeah. Open up.
Why'd you come here?
Look at this newspaper. It's about Izzy Lundy.
Lundy?
He was sentenced for that bombing today. Got 25 years.
25 years?
The guy who sent him to jail was that fella you tried to kill, Baker. He testified in court against Lundy.
That was the mistake of my life. Not making sure that guy Baker was dead. Now look what he's done. Has me hounded like a rat.
The cops sure are after you, Dowling.
I can't stand much more of this. Cooped up in 4 walls, afraid to show my nose outside. Afraid every noise I hear on the stairs is the cops. I'm going nuts. I can't sleep no more. I lie in the bed, hour after hour, just listening and waiting.
That's all you can do, Dowling. If you show up on the streets, the cops will grab you inside of 10 minutes.
So where's the rest of the gang? Why don't they do something for me?
They're hiding out from the cops, same as you.
Well, where's Jaime? You ought to be able to find Jaime.
Yeah, he must be with the others.
The yellow rat. Just when I need him, they run out on me. If I ever get my hands on him, I'll... Hold it, Red. Don't open that door. Now, wait till I get my gun.
That ain't the door, it's the phone.
What? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hello, Dowling.
Who's this?
Me, Jaime.
Oh, Jaime. Well, where you been? You got no idea how glad I am to hear you. Now, listen, Jaime. I'm on a spot, see? I need dough to beat town. Tell me where Rick can meet you so you can go and...
Listen, you dumb cluck.
Dumb cluck? Why, I'll break you. Now, wait a minute. What's the matter?
Plenty.
What do you mean?
The cops got the gang smashed. Half the boys are in jail already. And the cops ain't going to stop till they get you and every one of us.
Yeah, well...
So there's only one thing for you to do.
For me to do?
The boys say for you to give up to the cops tonight.
What? Why, you're crazy.
You've had your warning, Dowling. We'll be watching you.
Yeah, now, wait, Jaime, wait.
Now, remember, Dowling, it's the cops or us.
Hello.
What is it, Dowling?
The gang. They're throwing me over. Put me on the spot.
On the spot?
Yeah. But how did they know where I was? No one knew where I was, but...
What are you looking at me like that for?
You. You were the only one who knew. You're in with them.
No. Dowling, put on that gun.
Shut up. Hand over your money.
Oh, sure, Dowling. Here it. Every cent I got here.
I ain't licked yet. I'll get out of this town, and I'll kill anybody that tries to stop me.
Sure you will, sure.
Now, Red, it's your turn.
Don't shoot. Please.
I ain't shooting. I need these bullets for the cops. But here's what you're getting.
No.
Hello, headquarters.
Listen, copper. You want Elmer Dowling. I know where you'll get him.
Who is this?
Never mind who it is.
Oh, check this call.
Listen to me. Go out to the waiting room of the Taylor Avenue car station, and you'll find Dowling if you get there fast enough.
Maury, hung up. What was it, Captain? Another tip on Dowling. Get a special squad. We're going out to the Taylor Avenue car station. It may be a false alarm, but we're going to investigate at once. All right, Maul, pull up here. There's the car station.
Right, Captain. We'll leave the car here so Dowling won't see it.
Follow me, men.
Yes, sir.
Any special instructions, Captain?
If Dowling is in this waiting room, we've got to be careful. He's sure to be armed, and I don't want any innocent person hurt.
Yes, sir. We'll have our guns ready.
I'll know Dowling the second I see him.
Here's the waiting room. Careful now, men. A lot of people in there, Captain.
See that big fellow sitting there hiding back of that newspaper?
It's Dowling. Wonder if he sees us.
He's getting up.
Now, hold it, Ben. We don't want any shooting.
He's going out the back way.
Good. You two men guard this front door.
Yes, Captain.
Moore, you and I will go around back. Come on, fast. Right, Captain. You ready to shoot any instant?
Yes, sir. Hold it. There he goes. Back of that house.
Moore, you wait here. I'll cut around this side and try to head him off.
Up with your hands, copper.
Darling.
Now, I'll kill you if you don't do what I say. I'm using you as a shield. Start walking.
All right.
I'll kill you, but
Drop that gun, Darling.
Okay, let go of my arm.
Let me. That gun, I said.
He got down. Come on, man.
Are you all right, Captain? Yes, Moore, I'm all right. But this rat isn't. Put the handcuffs on him. There's a man waiting at headquarters to see you, Dowling.
What man?
The man you tried to murder. A missing corpse.
Elmer Dowling was positively identified by Louis Lee Baker, Colonel, and went on trial for the attempted murder of Mr. Baker on March 4th, 1940. He was convicted and was sentenced to 30 years in the state penitentiary at Jefferson, Missouri.
This has been a most interesting case, Prosecutor Wallach, and I want to congratulate you on your successful prosecution of Dowling. One of the most impressive features of this case is the fine courage displayed by Mr. Baker, who refused to be intimidated in his efforts to help the police smash this mob. In these days of national stress, America needs citizens who support the law enforcement authorities and who are not afraid to face the gangsters and reveal them as real enemies whom this country must face. Thank you, Prosecutor Wallach, for helping us to prove again that crime does not pay. Now, before we broadcast our nationwide clues, a few words from Charles Stark.
I should like to leave you with a reminder. Muscular aches and pains often arrive without warning or invitation. During the summer months to come, when we are all more active, take the wise precaution of always having a bottle of dependable Sloan's liniment on hand. You'll discover that Sloan's will help you get the quick and comforting relief you want. 1, pat on some Sloan's liniment. That's all. Just pat it on. 2, relax. And soon you'll feel that welcome, gentle warmth as it penetrates right to your sore and stiff muscles, easing and soothing the pain. Ask for Sloan's liniment when next you visit your favorite druggist. And now, the clues.
Attention, citizens Southwest. Look out for man wanted concerning murder. Negro, 33, 5 feet 7 inches, 135 pounds, black kinky hair, brown eyes, left eye punctured and may be completely out. 3 razor/scars, left arm at shoulder, may wear dark glasses to conceal defective eye. This man wanted connection murder near Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Caution, citizens New England, New York, New Jersey. Watch for James Joseph Horan, 39, 5 feet 9 inches, 180 pounds, brown hair turning gray, brown eyes, tattoo initials JJH, right forearm, large ears, eyes slightly crossed. This man, veteran robber who has been operating in New York and New Jersey, wanted by federal authorities for questioning concerning robbery of bank at Suffield, Connecticut.
If you have any information concerning these clues, notify your local police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters at once. Tonight's broadcast is the last of the current season for Sloan's liniment. But we have some glad news. Sloan's will again sponsor Gangbusters in the fall. Until then, we wish to thank all of you who have sent us so many splendid letters. And we want to thank the police organizations of the country for cooperating with the producers of Gangbusters in proving so conclusively that crime does not pay. And speaking for Sloan's, a very happy summer to you all until we meet again in the fall. America's crusade against crime.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the officers and men of the United States Air Force Strategic Air Command. Story is entitled The Safety Factor. This is the story of Major Leonard Marchese and the crew of Strategic Air Command's Air Force bomber 9728, a B-36 that ran into a peculiar kind of trouble while making a routine landing on a beautiful day. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first...
Young men of America, today there is an urgent need for aircraft observers in your United States Air Force. If you can measure up, here's your chance to get the finest aviation training. Training that equips you to fly in the most modern aircraft in the world and prepares you for executive positions in military aviation. You graduate from aircraft observer training as a second lieutenant, specializing in radar, navigation, or bombardment. You'll receive a starting salary of approximately $5,000 a year and a liberal uniform allowance. To qualify as an aviation cadet in the aircraft observer training program, you must be a high school graduate, be between 19 and 26 and a half, unmarried, and in good physical condition. For complete information, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station, or write to Aviation Cadets, Headquarters, Department of the Air Force, Washington, 25, D.C.
And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly we hail production, The Safety Factor. The safety factor. You know what that is? It's the extra allowance an engineer figures on in his plans to meet emergencies. If he's building a bridge that should have to stand the maximum weight of 500,000 pounds, he may plan the bridge so it can stand 750,000 pounds. In other words, he allows 250,000 pounds for the safety factor. Now, this is a story about a B-36 intercontinental bomber and its commander, Major Leonard Marchese, and his crew, First Pilot Gimmel, Flight Engineer Schwartz, and some 19 other men, gunners and navigators, and the men who operate the complicated electronic equipment on the big plane. The safety factor in this story turned out to be the skill and ingenuity and experience of the aircraft commander, Major Marchese, which was brought into play when the B-36 ran into trouble. It was the end of a perfectly routine 15-hour training flight, a lovely, sunny, hot afternoon in Texas. Major Marchese and his crew were coming into Carswell Air Force Base outside of Fort Worth. He called the tower for landing instructions.
Carswell Tower, this is Air Force 9728, 10 south of Carswell. Request landing instructions. Request GCA, full step.
Air Force 9728, this is Carswell Tower. Land on runway 36. Wind 25 from the north, altimeter 3002. Switch to channel F for Foxtrot for GCA.
Roger, Carswell Tower, 9728, out. Carswell GCA, this is Air Force 9728. Do you read?
Air Force 9728, this is Carswell GCA. Read you loud and clear. You're now 10 miles west of the station on your downwind leg. You should have completed your gyro check. Make a 360-degree right lane turn. We have traffic. Call Carswell GCA when right turn is completed. Air Force 9728. This is Carswell GCA. Turn left now. Heading 090. descend to 1,000 feet. Maintain 090. Check your gear down lock.
Roger. Coswell GCA 9728. Gear down. Checklist complete.
Air Force 9728. Coswell GCA. Stand by for left turn to final approach.
Aircraft command is the pilot. Checklist is complete. Ready to land. You've got it, John. Good Lord, John, stop clowning around. We're not acrobats. Let's get back on course and get on the ground.
Hey, see, this is pilot. I'm not stunning. I can't hold her. She just won't turn anymore. Give me a hand.
I'm right with you, John. Maybe between us we can get the wheel back to center. I'm switching from GCA to tower. Coswell Tower. This is 9728. Emergency. Stand by 1. Aircraft is uncontrollable. We're in a steep right wing down bank. Lost 400 feet. Plane keeps turning right. We can't control her. Can't get the wing up. Can't make her turn left.
Understand, 9728. Give me a call when you pinpointed trouble.
Roger, Coswell. 9728. We're alerting crew for possible bailout. Aircraft command at the crew. Stand by to crash. Take crash landing positions. Acknowledge all compartments.
Nose compartment, roger. Photo compartment, roger. Radio compartment, roger. Aft compartment, roger.
Pilot, this is AC. John, let's get on this wheel and push hard. Full left rudder. I'll crank in the rudder trim to full left.
Everything's pretty quiet, Bob.
Bring me up to date.
Now, look, the log shows everything. You take over for me in about 10 minutes. Everything's under control. Only aircraft not from this base is Major Marchese bringing in the B-36, 9728. He's requested clearance and coming in now on GCA.
Everything seems to be in order, all right. Marchese. I'll be glad to see him. Haven't seen Len for a long time. The funny thing, you know, we were born within a dozen blocks of each other in New York.
Yeah?
He married a girl I used to know in California. Has 3 kids now at Rapid City. He's a good flyer.
Well, he's not acting like one. What do you think he's doing, starting a big plane like that? Look at that, Bob.
That isn't like Len Marchese. Hey, he's not stunting. He's in trouble. Something's gone wrong. The plane's fallen off to the right. They must have lost half their altitude. They're going to...
Coswell Tower, this is 9728. Emergency. Stand by 1. Aircraft is uncontrollable. We're in a steep right wing down bank. Lost 400 feet. Plane keeps turning right. We can't control it. Can't get the wing up. Can't make her turn left.
Understand, 9728. Give me a call as soon as you pinpointed trouble.
Roger, Coswell. 9728. We're alerting crew for possible bailout.
You'd better warn other planes, Art.
I'm just about to, Bob. Coswell Tower to all aircraft. Coswell Tower to all aircraft within the Coswell area. The field is closed. I say again, Coswell is closed. All aircraft orbit 10 miles north of Coswell until emergency is over. Coswell Tower to all aircraft in area. The field is closed.
That takes care of that. Plane stopped falling and it's leveling off, but still turning.
I'm going to clear the field. Get all personnel and aircraft out of the way. Give him room if he can come down. You got the trouble book?
I've got the tech book ready.
Seem to have the plane in some sort of control. See? They're still circling to the right. They're not falling anymore. If they can gain altitude, they could jump. Air Force 9728, this was Coswell Tower. Anything new? Air Force 9728, this is Coswell Tower. Anything new?
Full left rudder. I'll crank in the rudder trim and give a full left rudder.
Roger. AC, this is engineer. You check the autopilot.
AC to engineer. Roger, checked. AC to engineer. Give me climb power.
Roger, AC. Climb power coming on.
John, this is Len. Let's keep it at this. We're too low to bail out, so we've got to keep fighting.
Go on, tell me what to do. I'll do it.
You used to be a fighter, John. Good thing you've got strong arms. We'll keep at it until we lick it. Engineer, this is AC. Any suggestions?
We're not losing anything now. Still circling to the right. Right wing's still down.
What? The increased power just makes us go faster, but doesn't let us climb. What do you think of unbalanced power? Let's try reducing power on the two outboard engines on the left side. Let's see what happens.
Roger, Len. I'll handle the power for you. Let me know what you want. You've got it. You've got primary control at all times.
John, that seems to help some, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're still circling, Len, but it's a much wider turn.
We've increased the radius of turn. I think we'll try cutting back number 3 engine, too.
Why not?
Aircraft commander to engineer. I'm going to try cutting back number 3 engine. Let's see what happens with that.
Roger, Ace.
Schwartz, I've got a little directional control now. The right wing is still down. We're skidding through the air, crabbing, but I think we're reasonably safe for a time. We've got enough fuel aboard to stay aloft for several hours.
Roger, Ace.
Second engineer, this is AC. Go back to the bomb bay. Check all the control cables. Check tension. Check the pulleys.
Roger, AC.
AC to left gunner. Check the aft compartment. Go back in tail section. Check all the control cables.
Roger, AC. Left gunner will go.
AC to scanners. Check your flaps. Check your control surfaces. Let me know if you see anything that is out of the ordinary or doesn't look normal.
Lan, this is John. What do you expect to find?
I don't know, John. I'm just hoping that we'll find a control cable that's frozen and can be freed.
Air Force 9728. This is Carswell Tower. Anything new?
Carswell Tower, Air Force 9728. Trying unbalanced power. It permits some directional control. We are checking on controls and cables. We'll keep you advised.
Roger, 9728. Keep in touch. Airfield is cleared. All planes have been warned away from the area. We're ready to help in any way possible.
Roger, Tower. I'm just trying to stay aloft and in the area until we can find out what's wrong. Hope to be able to fix it so we can land or gain enough altitude so we can bail out.
How's your fuel supply?
We've enough for several hours this way. But in order to keep from going to the right, we've got to give her full left rudder and use the engines on the right side only. We're crabbing at almost 45 degrees. Don't know how long the plane can take it. We're going to have to do something in a hurry whether we find the trouble or not. We can't keep doing this very long.
You are listening to the Proudly We Hail production, The Safety Factor. We'll return in just a moment for the second act. Today, thousands of alert and intelligent young men are needed to enter aircraft observer training and become flying officers in the United States Air Force. If you act now, you can get a 4-month selective service deferment and stand a good chance of being enrolled in a training class before your deferment expires. Upon graduation, you'll receive a commission as a second lieutenant, your silver wings, a liberal uniform allowance, and a starting salary of approximately $5,000 a year. For complete information, write to Aviation Cadets, Headquarters, Department of the Air Force, Washington, 25 D.C. Classes begin every 2 weeks. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of The Safety Factor. Aircraft 9728, a B-36 Intercontinental bomber, was in trouble over Carswell Air Force Base outside of Fort Worth, Texas. As it was coming in for a routine landing after a routine trip, it suddenly went into a steep descending right bank. Aircraft Commander Major Leonard Marchese, sitting next to First Pilot John Gimmel, added his hand and strength to the wheel and rudder bar. Between them, they stopped the fall, but all they could do was to circle the field at the same low altitude, with a right bank of from 6 to 10 degrees. Major Marchese sent the left gunner and second engineer back to the bomb bay and the tail section to see if they could see what was wrong.
Second engineer to aircraft commander, back at station. Everything seems to be in shape in the bomb bay. Everything's okay in the wings.
Roger, second engineer.
AC, this is left gunner. Back at station from granary. Everything looks okay back there. No help.
Roger, gunner.
9728. This is Carswell Tower. Can you report?
This is 9728, Tower. Visual scanners report nothing out of the way to cause right wing down position or tendency to turn to the right.
9728, Tower. Roger. Describe condition.
Tower, 9728 here. We seem to have aircraft under control, but we're in almost a 45-degree left crab. Right wing is still down anywhere from 6 to 10 degrees. With engines 1, 2, and 3 pulled back, we can turn as much as 30 degrees to the left and can turn to the right by varying the throttle setting on any one of the left engines.
In other words, you have directional control now up to about 30 degrees either way.
Roger. Or can turn to the extreme right.
9728. The control officer recommends you try engaging autopilot.
Roger, Tower. We'll try autopilot and report. Engineer, this is AC. Tower suggests we try autopilot. Thought you'd want to know.
Roger, Ace. Everybody wants to get into the act, even the autopilot. Have you connected it?
It's connected. Pilot, this is AC. Relax pressure on wheel. Let's see if the autopilot can hold.
Okay, Land, we can try it. But it won't work. Taking all the both of us can give to hold the wheel and rudder.
It's worth a trial, John.
All right, but not a long one, Ace.
AC to pilot. You're right, John. It can't be a long one. We've just maintained enough altitude to be safe for a little while. We can't risk losing much of it.
All right, look, here we go again, off to our right.
Give it a chance, John. All right. That's enough. I'll disconnect. Coswell Tower, this is 9728. Autopilot can't hold us. Back to manual control.
Roger, 9728.
Aircraft commander to crew. We've got to try to come in for a landing. We can't get high enough to risk a bailout. We can't fly straight. We're going to try to straighten out enough to come down at Coswell. AC to engineer. We've still got quite a right wing down condition. Wonder if we can't get more lift into that wing by using the 2 jets on the right side.
Well, the jets might give more lift to that wing and might increase the craft, too.
John, I'm going to try to run the 2 jets on the right side. I'll have to reach up overhead for the throttles. Can you hold the wheel without me?
Go ahead, Skipper. I'll try.
Roger. I'll reach now.
Len, this is pilot. I can't hold it. Wing's going down. We're beginning to fall again.
Okay, John. I've got it now. Come on. We can get her back. There. That's better now.
Sorry, I just can't hold it alone.
Well, there's no sense in me trying to hold it alone if you can't. I wonder now if I brace my right hand against the wheel and bring up my right leg. With my elbow on my knee, maybe I can steady it that way and reach up to the throttle with my left hand. There, we've got it. Starting numbers 3 and 4 jets.
Coswell Tower to 9728. Anything to report?
9728 Tower. Just started the number 3 and 4 jets to get more lift into the right side.
Roger, 9728. Did it help?
It picked us up, but only a bit. The right wing bank is reduced to about 4 degrees now. That seems to be as little as we can get it, I'm afraid. I can't see anything to do but try to bring her down.
This is Power, 9728. Whenever you say, keep us informed.
Roger.
Lamb, we can swing around and keep her on course by jockeying the number 3 engine.
Right. But we can maneuver enough so we should have a chance to hit the runway.
Skipper, this is Schwartz. Just let me know what you want and you'll get it.
Roger. I'm calling the field for a landing. Coswell Tower, this is 9728. We're coming in. Emergency landing. We have fair control of the aircraft. However, we can't know just what will occur once we get down close to the ground.
Roger, 9728, Coswell Tower. All equipment, all personnel are clear. Either side of the runway, you're cleared to land. Cleared for straight-in approach.
9728 to Tower. Roger. Aircraft commander to crew. Assume crash landing positions. Acknowledge all compartments.
Nose compartment to AC. Roger. Radio compartment. Roger. Photo compartment. Roger. Aft compartment. Roger.
Pilot and engineer. This is aircraft commander. On this final approach, we'll maintain speed at about 150 to 155. Use 10 degrees of flaps. We'll drop the gear about 5 miles out. Now, John, as soon as we come over the fence, when I holler now, release the pressure on the left rudder. I'll take care of the throttles and hope we can square away on the runway so we're not hitting it at the 45-degree crab.
Roger, Len. Roger.
Gort, I'm going to cut the jets again. They don't add much lift, and they add tremendously to the crab.
Roger, Len.
I'm 728's coming in for a landing, Bob.
Can you see her arc?
Yeah, not too far away. I saw a plane fly that way before. She's really in so much of a crab, she's going as much sideways as she is forward.
Yeah, right wing is still down, too.
Major Marchese said he had it reduced to about 4 degrees.
From here, it looks more than that to me. Any more than 5 or 5.5 degrees, and the right jet pod, the number 4 pod, will hit the runway before the landing gear touches down. Could cause the plane to cartwheel.
I'm worried about that crab, too. I don't see how he can get squared away enough to come down on the runway.
I don't know, but I have a feeling, well, if anyone can do it, Len Marchese can.
9728, calling Carswell Tower.
Carswell Tower to 9728. Come in, 9728.
9728 to Tower. That's just what we're about to do.
Tower to 9728. Come in at your discretion. Runway's cleared. All aircraft and personnel have been removed. Emergency equipment stand by.
9728 to Carswell. Roger. We'll land at 150 to 155 miles per hour.
Tower to 9728. Good luck.
John, remember, as soon as we come over the fence, when I holler now, release the pressure on the left rudder. I'll take care of the throttles.
Roger, Len. Major, this is that good left gunner. Skipper, we're all in crash landing position. But what I want to know is, does our bet still hold?
Bet? What bet?
Well, Skipper, when we left Bradford City, we had a deal. If you brought us down without shaking us up too much, we'd stand to treat you. But if you shook us up, then you'd have to treat us. How about it? You trying to back out now?
AC, the left gunner. You've got more faith than sense. But it's my treat if I shake you up.
Skipper, we all have faith in you and Schwartz and Gimmel. If this crate holds together, we think you can bring us down. And remember, it's me saying so. The best gunner in the whole Air Force.
AC, the left gunner. I'll just say this. The stand treat to you, and the rest will be a pleasure. AC to pilot. All right, John. We're letting down now. Everything's under control. Looks good, John. I think we've got her made. Looks real good. Let's get over. Just a little bit more right. That's it. That's right. We've got it now, boy. We've got her made. Just this way. We've got it made. No sweat on this one. Thank the Lord it's clear weather, not night or instruments. That would make it tough. But we're doing all right, boy. Now we're over the fence. Let's bring the nose up. Give me a little help, John. Little back stick. Little back pressure. Main gear must be almost ready to touch. Now!
Coming in. Look at that angle. She's too far to the left. No, there she goes. Swinging over toward the runway. That right wing's awful low. We can only get her straight. Flying almost sideways. Just want to touch her down that way. Sideways. So sheer off the landing gear. No, look at that. Look at that. Can't be more than a foot off the ground, and she's straightening out, squaring away. Like a compass needle swinging through. Touching down now and running straight. Prettiest landing I ever saw.
Little back stick. Little back pressure. Now, release the pressure. We squared away. Main gear is down. Nose gear must be about touching. Nose gear down, too, now. AC to engineer. Ready to prop.
Engineer to AC. Roger. Ready.
AC to engineer. Reverse prop.
Engineer to AC. Roger. Reverse.
Lock the controls. Cut her down, Schwartz.
Roger.
Aircraft commander to all compartments. Let's get out of here.
And that's the way Major Marchese brought his crippled B-36 in at Carswell Air Force Base. He says he was the first one out of the plane, and the others followed him.
Oh, boy, that's a laugh. You're telling me no sweat. Look at me, I'm wringing wet. Hot afternoon over Fort Worth, and you say no sweat, huh?
Well, I didn't mean the temperature. Anyway, I was talking to keep up my courage, I think.
Yeah, or mine. Oh, here comes that gunner to collect.
Skipper. Hey, what's wrong? You're trembling. My left leg and my right arm. I was pushing on them all the time. Too hard, I guess.
What I wanted to say is, Skipper, you won. I still don't know how you did it, but that was as smooth a landing as you ever made. We weren't shaking a bit. The cheat's on us, all right. For you and Gibble and Lieutenant Schwartz. Hey, where'd Lieutenant Schwartz go?
Well, he was here a second ago. Oh, there he is. Like a good flight engineer, going topside, trying to find out what caused the trouble.
Lieutenant Schwartz, the engineer, found out what the trouble was. A malfunctioning of the left inboard trim control. A technical order was instantly made mandatory, correcting the default before another B-36 took to the air anywhere, so this couldn't happen again to another B-36. Major Marchese received a letter of commendation from General Vandenberg and certificate of merit. Disaster was averted, but that was no accident. The Air Force does everything possible to keep such incidents from happening, but with all the planes we fly, there are bound to be emergencies. The Air Force trains its men well and gives them the best planes it can get. But when something goes wrong, it has one big ace in the hole, the ingenuity and experience of the aircraft commanders and crews. Proudly we hail Major Leonard Marchese and the crack B-36 crew of aircraft 9728 and the other officers and men of the Strategic Air Command's 28th Strategic Reconnaissance Wing at the Rapid City Air Force Base. Plan your tomorrow today. There's a future in flying for you young men who can qualify as aircraft observers in today's global Air Force. If you are between the ages of 19 and 26 and a half, a high school graduate, and are otherwise qualified, you have a future in flying as an aircraft observer. For full details, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Bangert speaking and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. once again it's Monday evening and time for our weekly visit with the good Dr. Watson. Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mr. Bell.
From the hint you gave us last week about tonight's story, it sounded like quite a yarn. It took place in Paris, you said.
Yes, my boy. It was in that colorful city of bright lights, lilting music, and beautiful women that Sherlock Holmes and I had one of the oddest adventures that ever happened to us in our long association. I call the case The Adventure of the Scarlet Worm.
Sounds mighty intriguing, Dr. Watson. But first, men, if you want a successful, prosperous appearance, don't give your hair that cheap, greasy, plastered-down look. I've heard many men complain lately that the hairdressing they use is too greasy or too highly perfumed. That's why I urge you to try Kreml Hair Tonic. This highly specialized hair tonic has just enough light oil to keep hair handsomely groomed all day long. Every hair in place. Kreml gives hair a rich, healthy-looking luster, too. Yet it never leaves hair looking or feeling greasy or sticky. This is because Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. After you apply Kreml, just run your hand over your hair. Notice how delightfully clean your hair feels. Notice how no greasy film comes off on your hand or hatband. And how the ladies admire that natural, well-groomed look which Kreml always gives. Yes, Kreml gives your hair a handsome, clean-cut appearance, as if you had just combed it, and it keeps it that way all day long. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, how about your new Sherlock Holmes story, The Adventure of the Scarlet Worm?
Well, Mr. Bell, though that singular affair took place in Paris, I suppose the story really began on an October evening in Baker Street, a long, long time ago. I'd been more than usually busy with my practice that day, and I returned to our lodgings shortly after 9, I remember. As I entered the living room, Sherlock Holmes was seated at his side table, clad in his dressing gown and working hard over a chemical investigation. A large curved retort was boiling furiously in the bluish flame of a Bunsen burner. Finally, he brought a test tube containing a solution over to the table. In his right hand, he held a slip of litmus paper.
You come at a crisis, Watson. If this litmus paper remains blue, all is well. If it turns red, it means a man's life.
Good Lord, Holmes, really?
Aha. As I thought, it turns red. And now to send a telegram to Scotland Yard, and I need have no further connection with the case.
Well, you didn't tell me that you were working on a new case, Holmes?
It was a shoddy little affair, my dear Watson. An orthopedic shoemaker in Wapping became somewhat fretful with his wife. He added poison to her morning pot of tea and was stupid enough to leave a sample of the deadly brew. It was purely a routine matter. Let's forget it. You look tired, old chap.
Yes, I'm home. Busy day.
I hope you won't be too tired to accompany me to Paris tomorrow.
To Paris? Why?
This afternoon I received a very rare visitor in these rooms, my brother Mycroft. All is not well at the Foreign Office. They need our help.
Oh, what's wrong, Holmes?
An international spy ring is at work. In the past few months, important secrets have leaked out. Vital secrets that might bring this country to the verge of war.
Good gracious me.
2 of the Foreign Office's brightest young men have committed suicide rather than divulge how they betrayed their trust. Mycroft tells me he has reason to suspect a beautiful and dangerous young lady in Paris who inspired these men, a loyalty even above patriotism.
And they want you to try and trap her, is that it?
No, Watson. They want us.
Oh, us?
Mycroft and I agreed that you would be perfect bait to use in such a trap.
Bait? Makes me sound like a piece of cheese.
Only metaphorically, Watson. You must agree that your imposing appearance, your open countenance, and hearty manner would attract the attention of any female spy.
Yes, I see what you mean. Perhaps you're right.
In any case, we shall make you doubly desirable by entrusting you with certain invaluable naval secrets.
Masterly, Holmes, masterly. You'll entrust me with utterly worthless documents, spread the stories that are valuable, and wait for the woman to approach me.
Precisely. I shall accompany you as a bodyguard, but leave you largely to your own devices. Yes, Watson, I have high hopes of this trip to Paris. With you as the worm and me as the hook, I think we may snare this evil loveliness.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, you have shown me your credentials and explained your mission. We are aware of this firing. We are on constant watch. But I think you would have done better to have stayed in your own country. We of the Paris police are perfectly capable of handling such an affair ourselves, I assure you.
Inspector Rigaud, the fact remains that 2 Foreign Office men died here under sinister circumstances.
Yeah, nasty business, you know. British officials.
Monsieur, I myself investigated the deaths. They were both self-inflicted. We of the Deuxième Bureau cannot fathom the mind of a suicide.
Quite. But I doubt if the deaths were coincidental. Surely there must be some connecting link between them, Inspector?
The only facts I can give you, monsieur, are these. Both men frequented an American-owned gambling casino in Montmartre.
The name of it, please?
Slater's on Rue Fontaine. The only other fact I can give you is that both the dead men were seen there in the company of a certain Mademoiselle Elvira.
Ah, that must be the woman that Mycroft spoke of.
Can you describe her, Inspector?
Oh, what a woman. Although she is very young, princes have dueled for her favors.
What?
At the moment, a high official of the Banque de France lies in a prison cell because he appropriated funds that he lavished on her. She is a femme fatale, messieurs, but she is as elusive as the wind.
Well, Watson, our first move is obvious. Tonight we shall visit Slater's gambling casino on the Rue Fontaine and try our luck.
I say, Holmes, this is all rather exciting, isn't it? Paris at night, and we're on our way to an American gambling casino in the hopes of meeting a beautiful young spy named Elvira. Just like a novel.
Quite. Incidentally, since the young lady apparently moves in high society, I think it would be wiser if we give you a more impressive name. A fictitious title, perhaps.
Well, how about the title I used once before? Sir William Norton.
Splendid. Sir William Norton it shall be. And I trust that Sir William remembers the role he is to play?
Yes, indeed, Holmes. If I do meet the young lady, I'm to appear very susceptible to her beauty.
Not too hard for you, I imagine. And
I'm to drop dark hints about the valuable secret that I'm carrying.
Precisely, Watson. And if the lady proves as intrigued as I hope she will, you will follow the matter through to its logical conclusion.
Logical conclusion, Holmes? Yes, I don't quite know how to take that.
Ah, here's the casino. Courage, Watson, and good luck.
Good evening. I'm Sam Slater. You gentlemen hadn't been here before.
No, Mr. Slater. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is Sir William Norton.
How do you do, sir?
Holmes? Sherlock Holmes, the detective? Not here drumming up business, I hope.
Oh, no. Just showing Sir William some of the sights of Paris.
Fine. Then relax and enjoy yourself, gentlemen. Forget your profession, Mr. Holmes. In Paris at night, there's no crime. Or if there is, the police are conveniently blind to it. Glad to have you.
Oh, nice place, Holmes. I think perhaps I'll take a little flutter at the tables.
Pardon, monsieur.
You wish to speak to me, sir?
Yes. I could not help but overhear Slater mention your name. It is a great honor to meet Sherlock Holmes. Permit me to introduce myself. I am Andre Flandon.
How do you do? And this is Sir William Norton.
I flatter myself that perhaps you have heard of me. My poetry has been published in England.
Oh, Lord.
No, Monsieur Flandon, I'm afraid it's escaped me.
You have not heard my verses? Étincelant, où s'arrangea mon cœur? Charming, do you not think?
Quite. Though the metaphor seems a little involved, if you don't mind my saying so. What do you think, Sir William?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one language. That's English.
Bon. Then I shall recite a poem of mine in English translation.
Oh, monsieur. I say, Holmes, look at that stunning creature sitting by herself at the chemin de fer table. She's smiling at me.
Oh, you are fortunate, Sir William. That is Mademoiselle Elvira.
Elvira? Oh, never heard of her.
And now, gentlemen, in translation, my poem begins... Grave as the grave, August as August heat.
Yes, I think I'll try my luck at the tables over there. I'll see you later, Holmes.
Much later, I hope, Sir William.
Sir William Norton, is it not?
Yes, it is. I can't think how you recognize me, Miss, Madam...
You may call me Elvira.
Oh, well, very friendly of you. Elvira? How do you know me?
Sam Slater told me who you were. He knows that I have a certain penchant for distinguished Englishmen.
That's extremely flattering. Perhaps you care to join me in a glass of champagne?
Oh, yes, I would like that. Let's sit at this table.
Thank you. Garçon!
Oui, monsieur.
Deux champagne. Bon champagne, too.
Oui.
You are here in Paris on business?
Yes, I am. Very important business. You see, I'm handling an extremely delicate and confidential matter for the British government.
Oh, very impressive. And I suppose you will be too busy to let me show you some of the sides of Paris.
Oh, no, I don't think so. All work, no play, you know. I'd be very flattered to escort you with her.
Oh, good. Then if we are to be friends,
yes?
I can't go on calling you Sir William. I think I shall call you Willie. Do you mind?
Willie, no, I like it. Willie. Good night. Oh, yes, thank you. Mercy. Open up, will you?
Oui.
Well, we must drink a toast, will
May I propose one? To Willie, the man of mystery.
Oh, thank you, my dear, and I shall drink to Elvira and to our better acquaintance.
Good night, Willie. I shall see you tomorrow.
Yes, rather. How about breakfast?
Oh, it's nearly breakfast time now.
Oh, really?
How about lunch?
Yes, of course, my dear.
But your important mission for the British government, when will you attend to that?
Well, in a day or two, Elvira. Good night, my dear.
Come here, Willie. Closer. Good night.
What? You kissed me, you little darling. Thanks awfully.
You're doing splendidly, Watson. Splendidly. Keep it up.
Oh, she's a sweet little thing, Holmes. It's hard to believe that she's a spy. I told her that I was here on a secret and confidential mission. I even told her that I was carrying important naval plans. She didn't seem particularly interested.
Of course not. She's much too clever to use the clumsy approach. She'll work slowly. She'll wait until she thinks she's got you completely captivated before she goes after that secret.
Oh, then I'm just to carry on the way I did last night.
Yes, old chap.
Oh, good.
Wine her, dine her, send her flowers, buy her jewelry. Make her think you're head over heels in love with her. I suspect that you won't find the job too unpleasant.
Oh, I'm sure I shan't. For 3 days now, Elvira, you've been showing me Paris, but this is the first time I've actually been in your flat.
You like it, Willie?
Yeah, very much.
I thought it would be much quieter here. At dinner, you said you were going to explain some of your important business to me. You were going to show me what a secret treaty looks like.
Yes, I know I said that, but Elvira, a pretty girl like you wouldn't be interested in such matters.
Oh, but I would. You have the treaty with you?
Yes, I have.
Then please let me see it. Oh, please, Willie.
I can't go through this masquerade any longer.
Masquerade? What do you mean?
Well, I've grown really fond of you in these last few days, Elvira. I can't let you walk into a trap.
Trap? What are you talking about, Willie?
I'm not Willie. I'm not Sir William Norton. My name's Watson. Dr. John H. Watson. My closest friend is the detective Sherlock Holmes. We came to Paris to try and trap you. Oh, my dear girl, you're suspected of being mixed up in a spy ring.
What?
Well, that's why I pose as an important embassy from England.
Trap? Are you doddering old fool?
Oh, no, don't say that.
I'll teach you about trap.
Elvira, put down that revolver.
No, I'm going to.
Oh, you're going to drop it, my dear.
I can't do it. I'm just a stupid, weak female after all. I've grown fond of you, too. The bumbling old walrus.
Oh, there.
You remind me of my father. He was such a sentimental old fool. Like you. Just as sweet.
You're young. I know you don't really want to stay mixed up with a bunch of criminals.
No.
Now, look here. You tell Sherlock Holmes and me what you know about this spy ring, and we'll see that no harm comes to you, my dear.
I've wanted to get out of it for months. It was rather glamorous and exciting at first, and they paid me well. But I hate them now. And yet when I told them I wanted to get away, they threatened me.
Oh, we'll take care of you. Just tell us who's at the head of the organization.
That I don't know. But I can tell you a lot about some of the members.
That's splendid. Then slip on your coat, that funny little bonnet, and we'll go over and talk to Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, and have him see me looking like this. Oh, blear-eyed and red. Oh, no. You go and bring him here. By the time you get back, I'll be more presentable.
All right, Oliver. I'll go and get him at once.
Watson Watson, I'm occasionally astonished at the many facets to your character.
Oh, thank you very much, Holmes. It's nice of you to say so.
Your personal charm has apparently convinced a dangerous woman that crime does not pay. It's remarkable, if it's true.
What do you mean, if it's true?
Surely it must have occurred, even to a man burning with the zeal of one who has snatched a convert from the fiery flames, that this could be a trap for us to walk into. The delay while the young lady makes herself presentable would provide an excellent opportunity for her to summon her associates.
Oh, upon my soul, Holmes, you're utterly cynical. I don't believe you have a heart.
Possibly not, but I do have a head.
Well, here's our place now. Stop, cabby, stop.
Arrête.
I'll bet you £100 to a shilling that she's still waiting for us and alone.
Long odds, Watson. Very long odds.
Look. The concierge is sweeping up the steps. He'll be able to tell us if anyone's been here since I left.
True. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Vous parlez anglais?
Yes, monsieur.
Splendid fellow, parlez anglais. Look here, we were calling on Mademoiselle Elvira. Has anyone been to see her in the last half an hour?
Oui, monsieur. A man. She left with him only 5 minutes ago. Though I do not think she wished to go.
You mean that she was taken away by force?
Not exactly, monsieur. But I could swear on the Sacré-Cœur that the man who accompanied her was holding a pistol to her back.
You don't mean it.
I think she has been, how you say, kidnapped.
In just a moment, we'll rejoin Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Every man who takes pride in his appearance should know that handsome, healthy-looking hair needs a hygienic scalp. That's why when you buy a hair tonic, be sure to get your money's worth. Don't settle for just any hairdressing when you can enjoy the extra advantages of Kreml Hair Tonic. This highly specialized hair tonic contains an amazing combination of hair grooming ingredients, which is found in no other hair tonic. Kreml keeps dry, stubborn hair neatly in place all day, and always gives hair such a natural, well-groomed appearance, never sticky or greasy. But men, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Kreml leaves your scalp feeling alive and tingling. At the same time, it removes itchy, loose dandruff. It's simply great to lubricate a dry scalp. And if your hair is so dry it breaks and falls when you comb it, Kreml actually helps condition the hair, in that it makes it feel softer, more pliable. So men, buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. Ask for an application at your barber shop. Let Kreml help keep your scalp hygienic. Your hair always looking handsome, always looking its very best. Kreml. Kreml Hair Tonic. Well, Dr. Watson, once again you left me on the edge of my chair. So when you went back to the girl's flat, she'd been kidnapped, What did you do next?
Well, fortunately, the concierge was able to give us a good description of the cab driver, and with the aid of Inspector Rigaud, we were able to find the man and question him. He'd driven the couple, he told us, to a Val-a-Pache den in the Allées of Montmartre, a club known as the Scarlet Worm. Holmes and I, accompanied by the French inspector, lost no time in taking a cab to the place.
Monsieur, I should not permit you to visit Le Ver Écarlate, the Scarlet Worm, as you would say, without my protection. It is a cesspool of the underworld. Men have been known to enter there and make their exit by back door. At first, into the sewers.
Good Lord, they've taken that poor little girl there.
Inspector Rigaud, as I said, Mademoiselle Elvira told my friend that she does not know who is at the head of this organization. Have you any suspicions?
Yes, but little else, my friend. One thing we are sure of. This man of mystery, the brain behind these criminals, is not French. Probably he is English.
An Englishman? Oh, I surely not.
Ah. Le Ver Écarlate is waiting for us. Be on the alert, my friends, and keep close to me.
I told you we didn't want to do it. You'll have to come around.
Oh, there's Sam Slater, the man who owns the casino we went to the other night.
Yes, and he seems to be involved in a violent argument.
Yeah, a rattle like this, you don't know what you're doing, Chabert.
What's up? You're what doing here? Stay in your own golden pigsty.
Who's the man that Slater's arguing with, Inspector?
That is Chabert, the owner of this establishment.
Slater's leaving. I wonder what he was doing in a place like this.
Come, we'll speak to Chabert and find out. Bonsoir, Chabert.
Bonsoir. I am honored with a visit from the inspector, the detective. Que voulez-vous?
Since when does a visitor from the 2e Bureau have to explain his business, Chabert? Tell me, why was Slater here? And why did you argue?
Sure. He comes here to try and hire some of my apache. He has trouble collecting his gambling debts. I spit on him and his high-class victims. Let that kind stick to themselves. And not bother the cuddler.
Pleasant fellow.
Let's sit at the table, shall we? You might as well be as unobtrusive as possible.
I shall rejoin you in a moment, monsieur. I wish to make some investigation.
Watson, you seem to be a positive magnet towards the fair sex. Look at this young lady heading for you.
Red hair, beret, and a painted face. Not my type, I'm afraid.
Bonsoir, monsieur. Voulez-vous m'offrir un apéritif?
Run along, young lady, and don't sit there.
Oh, no, Watson. Where's your chivalry? Please sit down, won't you?
Merci, monsieur. Pretend you don't recognize
Of course I don't. Never saw you before in my life.
Whereas I've been keeping silence, Mademoiselle Elvira.
Elvira?
The wig is excellent and the use of makeup superb, Mademoiselle. But I recognized you at once by the conformation of your earlobes.
Elvira, why are you disguised? Why'd they bring you here?
Shh. I cannot speak now. You must get me away. At once. Be careful. I'm being watched. We can't leave by the front way. But I know a back staircase that leads from the cellar. But there may be trouble.
You take her, Watson. I'll guard the retreat. When the music starts again, dance with her. When you get to the back of the hall, slip out. I'll join you at the hotel.
Oh, look, Holmes. Look who's coming to our table. It's that ghastly poet fellow we met at the casino.
André Flandin. Pay no attention. I'll take care of him.
Once again I meet my friend Sherlock Holmes. I have a new poem that I've composed in your especial honor.
Dance, Watson, and good luck.
All right, you are, Holmes. Come along, my dear. Come along.
Your friend, please. Au revoir. Now I shall tell you my poem. It begins...
Elvira, my dear, I can't tell you how relieved I am to find you all right.
Shh. Don't look so serious. Pretend that I'm some girl that you don't know. Laugh.
That's all right.
That's better. Now dance me toward that door in the corner. There we are. Now, let's slip through it.
I can't see a thing.
Follow me. There are stone stairs here. Careful.
Where do these lead?
To an alley. Oh, careful. The stairs turn here.
God, there's a light coming up the steps towards us.
You did not think you could live so easily, did you, Elvira? I've been waiting for you.
Look out, he's got a light!
But he can't see without his lantern.
Where's the pass?
Run, Elvira, I'll follow you. Run.
You won't follow her!
Oh, won't I? How'd you like that, you filthy swine?
Watson, are you all right?
Yes, Holmes, I'm quite all right.
Then run, old chap. I'll take care of this end. See that the girl is safe.
Well, now that we're all safely back at the hotel, I can tell you, Holmes, that I hated leaving you in that filthy den.
Inspector Rigaud had a revolver. It's more efficient than a knife. Eh, Inspector?
It was a near thing, Monsieur Holmes. You fought bravely, and so did your recumbent friend on the sofa there.
André Flandin, the poet. I wondered why you brought him back here.
For a poet, he uses his fists with surprising skill.
He must be hurt. He seems to be unconscious.
I think he's suffering from the effects of a trifle too much absinthe. I hadn't the heart to leave him. Ah, there you are, Mademoiselle Elvira. You're feeling no ill effects, I hope?
No, Mr. Holmes.
Splendid. Then now that we're all assembled, supposing you tell us your story. Who kidnapped you tonight?
It was one of Chavert's men. They made me disguise myself and swear never to see either of you again, on pain of death.
Instead of which we came to see you.
We knew that Travers was connected with the spies. Now he is safely under lock and key.
But we still don't know who is at the head of this organization. Can you give us any clues, mademoiselle?
I think that the man you want was waiting in the cab that took me to the Scarlet Worm. But he was masked and he never spoke.
Can't you recall anything that might give us a clue?
Oh, one incident, if it means anything. Chavert's man said to him, "We go to the Scarlet Worm, eh? That is good. You make worms, no?" And then he laughed.
He said this in French, of course?
Yes, he did.
Then the case is solved. I'm an idiot. I should have spotted it sooner. The man you want, Inspector, is lying asleep on the... Look out! He's not asleep. Watson, he's got a revolver.
Oh, no, you don't. Oh! He's gone to sleep again.
Really, Watson, you're in splendid form tonight.
But, Monsieur Holmes, why do you say that man is the culprit?
You yourself gave me the clue, Inspector, when you told me that the criminal was an Englishman posing as a Frenchman.
But you only met the fellow on 2 occasions, and then not for more than a few minutes.
It was long enough to realize that Flandin was really an Englishman. The first time we met him, he quoted a poem that he said was translated from the French. The translation was, "Grave as the grave, August as August heat." The poem could not have been translated from the French because both of those puns are possible only in the English language.
But how did my repeating the conversation in the cab give you a clue, Mr. Holmes?
Because it was another pun. In French, the word for worms and for verses is the same. Ver, spelt V-R-S.
I see it now. When the man in the cab said, "You make worms," he also meant, "You make verses."
Precisely, Watson, and thereby pointed directly at the poet there. With André Flandin, or whatever his real name is, in prison, I'm sure Mycroft will have no more trouble with his spying.
Ladies, of course you use a shampoo to wash your hair, but just a word of caution. There are many popular shampoos today which leave the hair lustrous but have a tendency to dry the hair. And that's why I advise you to always use Kreml shampoo.
How right you are, Joe. Lovely Powers models were among the very first to discover the amazing beautifying qualities of Kreml shampoo. They claim no other shampoo leaves hair with more brilliant, glossy, natural highlights. Yet under no circumstances does Kreml shampoo ever dry your hair.
Kreml shampoo is not a soapless shampoo. It's not a cream shampoo. It's not a drying detergent. It's entirely different.
Yes, after a Kreml shampoo, your hair actually radiates natural, brilliant luster. But Kreml shampoo is one shampoo you can buy today that has a beneficial built-in oil base, which helps keep the hair from becoming dry or brittle.
So, ladies, be smart. Always wash your hair with Kreml shampoo. It leaves hair a vision of shining beauty, yet in no way hurts the texture. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, let me think. Next week, what should I tell you? Next week, I think I'll tell you the story of how Sherlock Holmes, by solving an ancient musical cipher, managed to save the estates and restore the fortunes of the Earl of Moultrie. I call it The Adventure of Moultrie Abbey.
Tonight's newest Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Naval Treaty. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures. Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight, with original music composed and conducted by Alex Steiner. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, inviting you to be with us next week at this same time, when Dr. Watson will tell us about the adventure of Moultrie Abbey. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay.
Look, baby, why don't you get smart?
This attitude don't get you nothing except maybe a pretty little map all mashed in.
This attitude will get me plenty after you bring your boss here.
Listen to her. The gall of it for you.
Hey, you don't think the boss will come to see you?
I know he will, after you give him my message.
Now we're a couple of messenger boys.
That's all you were in the first place. Now I'll tell your boss this. Tell him I've got a racket that means dough, real long green Mazuma. Got that?
Keep stealing, kid.
Tell him I know how he and I can get into the chips 10 times over what he can pick up in this penny-ante chiseling on card games. And tell him I'm not too bad to look at. And he might do himself a lot of good just by dropping in on me, say, tomorrow night.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro Goldwyn Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Cards and Spades, starring Susan Douglas. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Susan Douglas as June Hathaway in Cards and Spades. June Hathaway was sweet and pretty and cute. Make no mistake about that. The women who came to her apartment each afternoon thought of her either as a daughter or as they thought of themselves at her age. This was reasonable rationalization for women who sought some excuse for their infatuation with the sight of cards and the sound of the chips clicking against each other on the table. Where June had come from, where she was heading, were matters of no moment to these women. They were matters of great importance to June, whose sharp, cold eyes belied her sweet face for anyone who saw them at unguarded moments. June had a plan. The afternoon card game was only the beginning of that plan.
I'll raise 5 blue. 5 and 5 more call you, honey. There you are. 2 pair. Not good enough, darling. Full house.
Oh, winning streak, eh? One more deal. I've got to get some of it back. As it is, Dave's beginning to wonder.
Oh, you too, Maria. Mine wants to know where all the money goes.
Cost of living's always a good excuse.
Not with Ralph. He follows the index in the paper every day. Whatever an index is.
Don't tell me, ladies, that the cost of living is an item among you.
Hello, June.
Oh, dear.
After all, where one of you loses, the others win. Isn't that right?
Right, I suppose so.
I was sharing the wealth and having fun besides.
You're right, June, darling. Absolutely right.
You're a bright girl, June. You'd have been a great success in business, I think.
I couldn't wait for that. Me, a career girl with success at 50? No, thanks.
You are smart, though, June. Oh, my goodness. 4:30 already. I promised Dave I'd pick him up with the car at 5.
Oh, excuse me, the door.
One more hand, girls. That's all I have time for. I'll give.
Don't make a move, sister. This gun ain't no water pistol.
You know what's good for you? You keep your trap shut.
But I can't.
Shut up, you hear? All right, ladies, this is a stick-up.
Oh, no.
Coach will be in the bedroom, Huey. Pick the good ones.
Jack, take your tables and the wallet.
Double check. Yeah, big game you're running here, sister. Yeah, not a bad haul.
It was a big game, you sap.
I got the coach, 4 of them. Not bad. The rest are just dogs.
Oh, my God.
All right, shut up. You're insured.
Got the cash? Let's go.
Got it. Let's ride.
June, call the police, please. For pity's sake,
You
you've got
all
to call
crazy.
it.
You want your names in the paper.
I want my fur coat back.
You want to go to jail for illegal gambling? Do you, any of you?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Well, I didn't think so. All right, ladies. Cash your chips. The day's play's over. Oh, you two again.
Yeah, us too.
Hey, glad to see us, kid.
Like an epidemic of smallpox, I'm glad to see you.
Oh, that ain't nice, baby.
With mugs like you, I don't have to be nice.
Ah, don't be like that, kid. We come back to tell you ought to have protection.
Yeah, you're from mugs like us who bust up card games.
After all, it gets around your game is stuck up every week. The dames ain't going to come to play with you, sister.
I had a decent living out of this. You fatheads bust in, scare away the pigeons. It'll take me a month to build up the business again. I ought to make you give me a cut of what you snagged out of here today.
We don't give no cuts. You cut us in, and our boss. He wants you should pay some insurance premiums. Hold-up insurance.
Not a dime. Not one thin dime.
You want to run a game, you give us 25%. We collect regular, every Saturday.
No bagman gets a cent from me. I build this business by myself. I'm keeping what I make.
Oh, what a shame. And she's a cutie, too.
Now, look, sister, grow up. The boss controls gambling in this burg. Everybody pays.
Not me. I have nothing to pay with. You spoiled the whole deal this afternoon.
You're gonna pay.
You heard me. I'll say it again. No. N-O. No.
Look, baby, why don't you get smart?
This attitude don't get you nothing, except maybe a pretty little map all mashed in.
This attitude will get me plenty. After you bring your boss here.
Listen to her. The gauntlet frail.
Hey, you don't think the boss will come to see you.
I know he will. After you give him my message.
Now we're a couple of messenger boys.
That's all you were in the first place. Now you tell your boss this. Tell him I've got a racket that means dough. Real long green Mazuma. Got that?
Keeps failing, kid.
Tell him I know how he and I can get into the chips. 10 times over what he can pick up in this penny ante chiseling on card games. And tell him Tell him I'm not too bad to look at. And he might do himself a lot of good just by dropping in on me, say, tomorrow night. Yes?
Well, not bad. The boys have better judgment than I thought.
What do you want?
I want in, first of all.
And then?
Then we'll see. Look, Miss Hathaway, are you going to keep me standing in the hall all evening?
You know my name.
I'm Dick Moorhead, known to you by way of Gus and Huey as the boss.
I thought so. I expected Gus and Huey with you.
They're with me, downstairs in the car.
Come in.
Thanks.
Sit down.
I don't mind if I do.
Drink.
No, thanks. I never drink. At a business conference.
Then start the conference.
You had my offer yesterday.
Oh, that was no offer. That was an insult.
Snappy, aren't you? Do you have a counter proposal?
I may have. If you agree on what basis we're going to talk.
What do you mean, what basis?
Are you still pointing a gun at me?
I'm not even carrying one. Want to search me?
I'll take your word for it.
Go on.
Are we talking as equals?
Gus was right. You do have gall. I run gambling in this town by disposition of the syndicate. You run, or ran, a card game, and you want to talk as equals?
Maybe you are the boss. I don't think you're so bright.
Oh, you don't?
Bright boys don't kill the goose. They collect the golden egg.
All right, as equals. What's your proposal?
That we go partners.
On what? Your game?
Oh, that's chicken feed.
What then?
On what can come out of my game. Enda doesn't like it.
Well, maybe you better draw a blueprint.
Well, it begins to look like it. Look, Richard.
The name's Dick. Richard has been a fighting word as long as I can remember.
All right, look, Dick. 99% of the women who play my game or did play in it are afraid of their husbands.
Ideal situation.
No jokes. They're afraid, but not the way you're thinking. They don't want their husbands to know what they're up to in the afternoon.
I think I'm beginning to understand.
There's more to it. We might make them pay off a little on a deal like that, but they'll pay off a lot more, and in a lot of other ways if they lose heavily once in a while.
Junie, you're a genius.
No, I just happen to know my own gender.
Well, now that you've given me the idea, what do I need you for?
The women trust me. They know me. I look too innocent, too sweet to be bad. They'll never trust a man like you.
What do you need me for?
A strong arm and, when necessary, and liaison with the syndicate.
Junie, you're a honey. You're beautiful. And you're smart. How did you get to learn all these tricks?
I was born in a jungle. I survived. I saw the other girls and what they were up against. I figured not to be trapped behind a typewriter or in a laundry. And I don't care for the usual career.
So you used your brain.
I try.
You've got a deal, partner.
I thought I would have.
Now, how about that drink?
The business conference over?
It's over.
And the social side of our relationship begins?
I think it does. If you want it that way.
Why not? Make yourself at home. Oh, the liquor's in that cabinet over there. You might as well know where everything is around here. I imagine you'll be coming back fairly regularly.
Take your hands off me. Who do you think you are?
Shut up. You wanted the Forsyth and Kirby dames, Miss Hathaway. Boss, you got them.
So I see.
Okay, wait outside, Gus.
Check.
What's the meaning of this?
You'll find out.
I demand to know. Mysterious phone calls. Hoodlums bringing us here in a closed car. This strange man. Really, June, you'd better explain.
I think you'd better explain this, Mrs. Kirby.
Dorothy. That check.
Quiet, Mrs. Forsyth. Your turn will come.
I lost heavily. I gave June a check.
Which I checked on before I cashed it, or tried to cash it. You have no account in this bank, Mrs. Kirby.
You can't collect on a gambling debt in this state. My husband's a lawyer, and I'm...
Can't we, Mrs. Kirby?
And now you, Mrs. Forsyth.
I'm paid up.
You haven't anything you can charge me with.
Except the fact that you're deathly afraid your husband will find out how much money you've been losing.
I don't care if he does.
Call up Mr. Forsyth, Dick. The number's Jefferson 56703.
No, don't call him, for pity's sake. It's as much as my marriage is worth.
How much is your marriage worth, Mrs. Forsyth?
What do you want?
Money. Lots of it. About as much each week as you've been losing. But you'll have to keep on playing, too.
I can't. I haven't got it.
But you'll get it, won't you? Won't she, Dick?
I think so. I know that phone number now.
All right. I'll try. What do you want from me?
You have friends, Mrs. Kirby.
My friends?
They'll enjoy an occasional game of cards.
You want me?
We call them steerers in cruder places, Mrs. Kirby. You are going to steer for us.
I won't. That is, I can't. I can't. I'll lose my friends. You'll fleece them just as you fleeced us. I can't. I can't.
Oh, but you will, Mrs. Kirby. You will. You'd rather have them pay through the nose than go through a scandal yourself, wouldn't you? And a bad check is nasty, Mrs. Kirby. Very, very nasty. You can't, but you will, Mrs. Kirby. You know that just as well as I do.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Cards and Spades. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Susan Douglas as June Hathaway in Cards and Spades. The racket worked, and with great success. The women caught in June's web, the mainstay of which was their own desire for the excitement of gambling. The women paid, and in many ways. Beginning with Dorothy Kirby and the friends she brought, June and Dick expanded their activities. For the victims, fear became the dominant feeling of their lives. For June and Dick, power and more power, money and more money became the prime motives. But even these activities can reach a saturation point for the victims. Margaret Forsyth reached that point the morning she came to pay her 5th installment to June.
All right, Mrs. Forsyth, just leave the money. I have a busy morning. Your friend Mrs. Kirby is due shortly.
I thought you might take something in place of money.
From you? The distinguished Mrs. Forsyth? Hardly.
I've come to give you...
Yes, the money. You have it in your bag, Mrs. Forsyth.
I can't. I won't. I've stood it for 5 weeks. I've drawn on my own savings. But my husband's getting more and more suspicious. I'm through. I'm finished. Do what you think you can to me. Try anything. You can't get blood out of a stone.
Never mind the histrionics. Just open your bag and pay and then get out.
All right. I'll open my bank. I'll pay you. I'll pay you exactly what you deserve.
I see. A dainty little automatic. Pearl handle, too. A real lady's gun. Only you won't pull the trigger. You haven't the nerve.
I will.
Give me that gun, Mrs. Forsyth.
Stay away from me. Stay away from me.
With your pleasure, June?
Yes, I did. Now take it away from her.
Yeah, with pleasure.
No, keep away. I'm shooting.
There you are, kid. Loaded, too.
Yes, I thought it would be.
What do you want I should do with the dame?
Oh, teach her a lesson, Gus. Try to leave as few marks as possible.
Oh, that's easy.
No! Don't touch me! Don't touch me!
I wouldn't want I should mark her face, so I twist her arms. Like this. And then I gives her the knee. Like this. And then...
I thought I heard her.
Margaret, watch closely, Mrs. Kirby, and I'll put lessons for you.
And then I throws her down like this. And when she don't stop yelling, I uses my little piece of rubber hose.
I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet.
Much better. Yeah. Much better. Well, Mrs. Kirby,
I came to report.
Yes, get on with it.
I can't. Margaret.
Never mind, Margaret, Dorothy, dear. How many friends are you bringing here this afternoon?
3. No, 4. But I don't want to. I'm afraid.
Margaret's very unhappy just now, Dorothy, isn't she? Isn't she? Now, how many did you say you were bringing to our little game this afternoon, dear?
That you, Dorothy?
Yes, Dave. Yes, it's me.
Where have you been?
Out with the girls.
That's what you've been saying for weeks. Which girls?
I won't be cross-questioned, Dave.
Oh, you won't. Well, suppose I say I won't accept the kind of life you've been living and making me live these past weeks.
Really, Dave, this attitude of yours...
Attitude? Night after night, I come home to an empty house, to obviously dissatisfied servants, to a house that's no longer a home, and I have an attitude?
You might let me take my coat off before you start shouting.
It's got to stop. These afternoon gallivantings have got to stop.
Oh. I'm to be a prisoner, is that it?
Stop it, Dorothy. I don't know what you're up to, but...
What do you mean by that?
I happened to make a phone call today to your friend Janet. She hasn't seen you all week. And you told me on Tuesday and Wednesday both that you were spending the afternoons with her.
She must have forgotten.
She's telling the truth.
I won't have you calling my friends behind my back.
What are you doing behind my back?
You've no right to say that.
Apparently, I have no right to a decently run home either.
Dave. Oh, Dave, I'm so upset. I don't know what I'm saying.
That act won't work either. Next thing you'll say is your best friend was run over and she's in the hospital. And that's where you were.
I did take Margaret to the hospital.
Oh, stop it. It's no go, Dorothy. She probably is there, or you wouldn't dare try to get me to believe you'd been with her.
Oh, Dave. Dave, if I only could say...
See here, Dorothy. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to find out. And if you won't tell me, I'll find out some other way. That's a warning, Dorothy. Don't forget it.
You, sent for me, Mr. Kirby? I'm here.
Billings, I understand you're a reliable man in your profession.
Reliable and discreet.
Good. I want you to trail my wife every afternoon until you're positive you know where she spends her time.
And with whom?
Not necessarily. After you found out where, we'll both go to see with whom. I believe that's the usual procedure in these cases, isn't it?
Well, sometimes the husband ain't anxious to go along, but if you want it that way, that's the way you can have it, Mr. Kirby.
I don't like it, Dick. I'm worried about it.
About what? The Kirby dame?
Yes, the Kirby.
Oh, she's bringing in her friends. She's doing what we tell her.
She's too docile.
You bet she's docile. Well, you told me yourself. She saw Gus operate on the Forsyth.
The Forsyth was quiet, too, before she broke loose.
And we taught her the time of day. I wonder how she explained the busted ribs to her husband.
I still don't like it.
Quit worrying, honey. Everything's copacetic. And the dough's rolling in. Besides, geniuses don't ever worry, and you're a genius. I told you that first time we got together.
Hello?
Mr. Kirby?
Yes?
Joe Billings here. We got her code.
Where?
Swank apartment on the boulevard. You want us to go in today?
The sooner the better. Who's us?
Me and a photographer. Pictures are good evidence in divorce case.
I wouldn't know about that.
Well, you want us to go ahead?
Wait for me. I want to go along. Where shall I meet you?
We're in a drugstore at 9th and the boulevard. We'll wait for you here.
I'll be right over. Why all the mystery, Billings? Do private detectives usually operate this way?
We have to in buildings like this. You couldn't get past the front desk without being announced. That wouldn't do us much good, would it?
Hardly.
So the service elevator, Mr. Kirby, which we run ourselves. Standard practice. 10th floor, Mr. Kirby. Here we are.
Yes, so I see.
I know it ain't pleasant, Mr. Kirby, but you gotta face facts, I suppose.
I suppose so. That's what makes business for the men in your profession.
To the right here, 10F. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Kirby.
Still, no matter how you look at it, it's not amusing.
Okay. Now, everybody know what the deal is?
Yes, sir.
All right, now let's see. You want me to follow you in and say, that's my wife, and then your friend here shoots the picture.
Check. Okay, here we go.
Who are you? What do you want?
It's a raid, lady. Don't try and stop
Out
it.
the back way, everybody. It's a raid.
It's a gambling den.
Dorothy, don't run away. It's dead.
Dick, he took a picture. Get the camera.
I think this is a divorce raid or something. Mr. Kirby, look out. He's got a gun. All right. Let the women go, but you stay here.
She put her husband up to this. Kirby put her husband up to it.
I didn't.
I say you did. Hold the gun on the men, Dick.
Keep away from my wife. Stand still, you.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
All right, fellas, come on. Let's go in here. Come on here. What's going on around here? What's going on here?
It's the cops.
Drop the gun, Moorhead. We know you. You should have known better, Moorhead. Maybe you'll learn in the can. I know what's going on here. Gambling, roulette, everything.
You can't prove a thing.
With these witnesses? Are you kidding, sister? I'm telling you, it's a laugh. We've been watching this joint for weeks. Suddenly there's a riot, and we walk in on the neatest sucker layout in town. Let's go, everybody.
I want a lawyer. You've got no warrant. You can't do this. You'll pay. You'll all pay.
Cut it out, sister. Your boyfriend pulled a gun. That's all I need. Now get going. There's a free ride waiting for you with a one-way ticket. Come on, sister. Move.
Crime does not pay. Susan Douglas, who starred as June Hathaway in Cards and Spades, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Susan Douglas.
There's no doubt in my mind that June Hathaway knew exactly what she was doing. There is some doubt in my mind that she knew why she was doing it. June never examined the causes of her basic insecurity, the causes of the drive for money through any means, which brought her to cooperation with Dick Moorhead and eventual catastrophe. But it took more than June's schemes to bring about the events of this story. The necessary additional ingredient was the weakness of her victims. The craving for the excitement, the surrender to the temptation of the green table and the bright pasteboard. Without such help, without both sides of this story, there would have been no tears, no shame, no violence. For all concerned, for all those involved, including the victims, it can be said in all these cases, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Miss Douglas. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical consultant is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the invisible insurrectionist.
Maria, the baby is crying again.
She does not sleep. And the doctor says it is sleep that she needs.
I know, Maria.
It is no good for her here in the city of New York. It is no good here for all of us, Juan. We should go back to Puerto Rico.
We will go back soon, Maria. Now, please try to make her stop. Please, my Maria.
See, I will try.
Salinas, my friend, come in.
Menard, I came as soon as I could. On the telephone, you sounded troubled. What is it?
Salinas, we have been cheated.
Cheated? I do not understand.
The man who promised to give us jobs in the mill in New Jersey.
You do not mean Mr. Franklin?
See, Mr. Franklin, the man to whom we all gave $50. The man who promised us jobs for that money. The man with whom we signed that contract. Salinas, he is a cheat, this Mr. Franklin.
Menard, how do you know this?
I have been there today in New Jersey.
You went to the mill?
Mill? There is no mill, my friend. It is all untrue.
No mill? No job? My $50 gone?
Yours and mine and all our friends who have come here from Puerto Rico for work. We must go to the police, Salinas.
No.
But this man Franklin must be punished.
First, we will go to this man, Franklin. I know where his office is. We will get what is rightfully ours in our own way.
That's quite an interesting story Menard has just told us, huh, Louis?
Sure is, Mr. Franklin.
You have cheated us all. Me, Salinas, and the others who have come here from Puerto Rico. I want my money back, Mr. Franklin.
So you want your money back, Menard. And you, Salinas? You don't feel the same way about it, huh, Salinas?
See, he does. Tell him, Salinas.
No harm will come to Menard. You promised, Mr. Franklin.
Salinas.
You were smart to bring him here, Salinas.
I do not understand.
You promise you will not harm Menard.
Mr. Franklin always keeps his word.
That's correct, Louis. I'll just see that Menard gets back to Puerto Rico. With what he knows now, it'd be unwise to allow him to remain here.
Salinas, you are this man's accomplice. You have helped him steal from me and your other friends.
It had to be done, Menard.
To take money from people who have so little.
No, it was not for the money. I am not a thief. It was for the good of our nation, Puerto Rico.
Our nation, Puerto Rico?
See, for its liberation. We must throw off the yoke of United States tyranny.
Then you are with the nationalists. They have made you betray your friends.
Oh, no, the cause. You do not understand, Menard.
I understand. You have been deceived by the real enemies of freedom. It is they who would impose tyranny upon us. Salinas, listen before it is too late.
Salinas understands that all sacrifices must be made for the good of the cause. Is that not correct, Salinas?
Yes.
That'll be all, Salinas. You may leave.
I cannot believe this, Salinas. All our lives we were such friends.
Louis, Menard is shot. Suppose you give him some shock treatment.
Sure, Mr. Franklin. What now, Mr. Franklin?
We'll take him down the back way and load him into the car.
Okay.
And Louis.
Yeah, Mr. Franklin?
Bring your gun with you. You'll need it.
Counterspy headquarters. Mr. Harding's office.
Braden, this is Harry Peters, phoning from Counterspy Patrol Boat 41. I just received word that Mr. Harding's been trying to contact me.
Yes, Mr. Harding left hurriedly for a conference at the State Department with Mr. Jordan of the Puerto Rican Affairs Division. He instructed that you meet him in his car outside the State Department building at 11. The conference will be over by then. Mr. Harding said it was an urgent matter.
Got it, Braden. I'll be there. All right, Adams. First stop, my house. What's this time, Chief?
Here, Peter. Read this bulletin. Came in early this morning from our New York field office.
How does this concern us?
Well, Juan Menard, the man who was found shot to death, is one of an undetermined number of Puerto Ricans who were taken in by a job placement racket.
Only the jobs didn't exist, is that it?
That's it. After my talk with the Puerto Rican Affairs Division, I'm convinced that the racket is more political than financial.
You mean in view of what's been happening in Puerto Rico?
Yes, Peter. We've come across all types of sabotage, espionage, enemy propaganda. This is probably the most subtle plan ever conceived of creating anti-United States feeling among Puerto Ricans.
Chief, you mean these people come here from Puerto Rico with the promise of work? They're defrauded, then they go back to Puerto Rico with stories of how they were taken over by some Yankee swindler.
Yes, that's right. And Juan Menard's murder could be the strongest propaganda point of all. You can understand now it's not just another murder case. It has overtones of insurrection attached to it. We've got a big job ahead of us.
Anything specific to go on, Mr. Harding?
Only a vague description of two men connected with the job placement racket.
Okay, Chief, when do I pack?
Now, you've got just enough time to stick a toothbrush in your pocket. We're flying to New York within half an hour.
Yes? Can I do something for you?
We're looking for Mrs. Juan Menard. I'm David Harding of the Counterspy. This is Agent Harry Peters.
Oh, I'm Mrs. Gladys Milford. Won't you gentlemen come in?
Sure.
Mrs. Menard is out to have a drug prescription filled. It's for the youngest of the children, the baby. I take it you're here concerning her husband.
Yes, that's right. Are you a friend?
I suppose so, in a sense. I'm with the Welfare League. We give family counseling and aid in such neighborhoods as this.
Mm-hmm. You've known the Menards for long, Mrs. Milford?
Since they arrived here several months ago, I arranged for the two older children to go to day nursery. At the moment, I'm looking after the infant in the next room.
I see. Well, is there anything you could tell us about Juan Menard?
I knew little about Mr. Menard. We met only once. This has been a terrible blow to his wife.
Yes.
We're doing everything for her we possibly can.
Did the baby cry, Mrs. Oh?
Maria, these men are from the Counterspies.
Counterspies?
They want to ask you questions about your husband.
About my Juan?
My name is Harding. This is Mr. Peters. We won't stay long, Mrs. Menard.
Just a few questions, and then we'll leave.
Why did they kill my Juan? He was a good man. He did not hurt anybody.
Well, Mrs. Menard, do you remember your husband ever mentioning the name of the man to whom he gave money for a job?
He did not tell me the name of this man. Oh, the baby, I must go to
I'll take care of her, Maria. Give me the medicine.
See?
Now, you do what you can to help Mr. Harding.
Oh, gracias, Mrs. Milford. Gracias.
Now, Mrs. Menard, who were the other men who gave money to this person?
Please, I do not want to talk about it. Juan is dead. You cannot bring him back.
No, Mrs. Menard. But we can bring his murderer to justice.
Justice? There is no justice in this place. We should have never come. My Juan would still be alive.
Mrs. Menard, your husband was sacrificed to an evil political cause.
I do not know about politics. I only know that we came here and my husband was killed. I only know that it is bad here, that the people here are bad, that we cannot...
Mrs. Menard, listen to me. That's exactly what certain people want all Puerto Ricans to believe. Now, if we don't find your husband's murderer, if you don't help us, there'll be other murders. More than that, there'll be possibly a great deal of bloodshed in your homeland. Now, you wouldn't want other wives and other families to suffer as you have, needlessly. Would you?
Would you, Mrs. Menard?
No. No, I would not want that.
Then who were the other men who gave money for jobs?
Well, when Pedro Salinas told them about it, they all gave.
Pedro Salinas?
See, Salinas and Juan have been friends for many years.
Where can we get in touch with Salinas?
I do not know where he lives. He was here with Juan the night...
He left the house with Juan that night, Mrs. Menard?
See.
And you don't know where we can find Salinas?
Oh, the girl he has, Lola, maybe she knows.
You have her address?
Oh, no, but she works at a restaurant on 110th Street. It's called El Toro.
I see.
You will find the one who killed my Juan.
We're going to try, Mrs. Menard. And we'll start looking with Pedro Salinas' girlfriend, Lola.
you're Counterspy. So what?
So we'd like to ask you a few questions, Lola.
Huh? About what?
Your friend Pedro Salinas.
Where is he?
I don't know where he is.
Or where does he live? That is, when you do know where he is.
He never told me.
Never told you, hmm? Funny kind of a boyfriend?
Yeah. Funny kind.
When did you see him last?
Last week.
Where?
What's the difference?
Now, don't make it rough, girlie. It's better answering questions here than in a jail cell.
My place. Okay.
Which is where?
106th Street, 785 East. One flight up, not twice.
You didn't see him after that? Or hear from him?
No phone calls, letters, postcards, anything?
Sure you haven't heard from him since Juan Bernard was found in that alley, shot to death.
Who's Juan Bernard?
As if you didn't know, hmm?
You two act like I'm a book of knowledge or something. Look, you got any more questions? I make my living here. The boss will get sore if he sees me wasting any more time.
No more questions, Lola. Just a word of advice.
Like what?
Stay here in town where we can get in touch with you.
I ain't going anyplace.
All right, come on, Peter.
Lola's the Lulu of a liar, Mr. Harding.
You're telling me.
Could have taken her in for questioning.
We may do better this way.
Which way?
When we get out to the patrol car, radio the field office to have a stakeout put on Lola's apartment. I think that may offer us the shortest distance between us and Pedro Salinas.
Hello?
Mrs. Franklin, this is Pedro Salinas.
Salinas, where have you been? Why haven't you called me since the other night?
I have been hiding. After what happened to Juan Bernard, I was afraid.
I'll explain that later. I want you to bring me the contract, the one you've been persuading your friends to sign. You still have it, don't you?
Yes.
All right, bring it to me. And not at the office here. I'll be at the warehouse near Mott Street. You know where. Get there as soon as you can. I'll be waiting for you. All right, Salinas. I'll take that contract now.
Mr. Franklin, you promised that no harm would come to Juan Bernard. He was my friend.
What has become of your feelings for the cause? That should be far above personal consideration, Salinas.
You promised me.
It couldn't be helped. He made things difficult for Lewis. Isn't that correct, Lewis?
That's right, Mr. Franklin.
You lied to me, both of you. You wanted one dead.
You're trying my patience, Salinas. Give me the paper with the signatures.
Do like Mr. Franklin says.
I do not have them. What? I did not bring them with me.
Where are they, Salinas?
I will not tell.
Lewis.
Okay. My arm.
I'll break it off. The paper, Salinas.
No. I will not tell. I will. Oh.
Come on.
Stop. Please, stop. I can't stand it.
The paper.
Oh. It's in the house of Juan Bernard. Oh.
He's out on his feet.
Now, Lewis, we'll visit Mrs. Menard. We'll leave Salinas here.
That way, Mr. Franklin?
No, Lewis, not that way. This way. You are listening to the case of the invisible insurrectionist on Counterspy. Tonight there's another broadcast of NBC's Sunday evening extravaganza, The Big Show. Tallulah Bankhead will preside as usual, and tonight's stars are Bob Hope, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, Louis Armstrong, Rosalind Russell, Dorothy McGuire, Frankie Lane, and Meredith Wilson with his orchestra and chorus. And Sunday over most of these NBC stations also means another visit with the mischievous Harris family, Frankie, Julius, and all their friends, on the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show. The chimes are your invitation every Sunday to The Big Show and the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show. Now, back to Counterspy.
New York Counterspy Field Office, Harding speaking. Yes, I certainly do. Go ahead. Yes, I have that. Well, thank you very much. Yes, of course, I'll let you know what happens. Goodbye. Peters, order a car to be ready for us out front immediately.
What's up, Chief?
That was Lola. Salinas told her to call us in case of trouble.
Does she know where we can locate Salinas?
Yes, Peters, if we're not too late.
Maria, you must try to rest.
Oh, you are very kind, Mrs. Milford. There are some people here in the city of New York who are so good, like you, and some who are so bad.
Were you expecting anyone?
No, I didn't.
Now, you stay right where you are. I'll see who it is. Yes?
Back inside, lady, and not a peep out of here.
Who are you?
Close the door, Louis.
What is the
Shut
meaning?
your mouth, lady, and no one gets hurt.
Mrs. Milford, who are these men? What do they want?
I don't know, Maria.
It's all very simple, ladies. Juan Menard had in his possession a paper. I want that paper, Mrs. Menard.
I do not understand.
The work contract.
Contract? I do not know what you mean.
Well, perhaps you don't. Louis, commence searching.
Okay.
This is unlawful.
Isn't it?
You can't expect to get away with a thing like this.
But I intend to, madam. Really. Any luck, Louis?
No, not yet.
Be seated, ladies. Please. Thank you. I'll just wander around myself and help Louis. Yeah, it's not much of a view from this window, is there? Or is there? Come on, Louis.
Come on. What about the paper?
The car just pulled up downstairs. 2 men got out and entered this building, and they certainly don't look like tenants.
Maybe cops.
We'll take no chance in finding out. Let's go. I warn you, ladies, stay right where you are.
Come on. Let's get going.
They're coming up to this floor.
We're trapped.
No, we can get up to the roof. Come on.
Stop, you two! Stop or we fire!
Coppers, Mr. Franklin. Now, this'll slow them up. My arm.
Keep going, Louis. Almost there. Keep going, Louis. We'll make it. We'll make it.
They made it, Mr. Harding. They got away over the roof.
Well, their luck won't hold out, Peters. We'll get them.
Plenty of bloodstains on the stairs leading to the roof. One of them is hurt. He'll have to get to a doctor sometime. Everything all right here in the Menard apartment?
No damage. Just woke up the baby. Mrs. Milford's inside helping Mrs. Menard.
Did your men catch them, Mr. Harding?
No, Mrs. Milford.
This has been terribly upsetting for Maria.
Yes, that poor woman's had plenty of trouble.
They said they wanted a paper, a contract of some kind.
Yes, we knew that from Pedro Salinas.
You found Salinas?
Just a few moments before he died in a warehouse. He was shot by a man named Franklin. There was also another man called Lewis.
Salinas told us to get here fast.
Well, did those two find the paper?
I don't think so.
Good. All right, Peters, you get started on that other matter while I take up where those two left off.
Peters in car C1 to Harding, New York Counterspy Field Office. Peters to Harding.
Harding, go ahead, Peters.
Chief, I checked on Franklin at the address Salinas gave us.
And?
It was an office, but right now it's just an empty space. Whoever was there pulled out like a fast freight.
Did you get any leads from anybody in the building?
It was strictly a dead end, Chief. No one knows the man called Franklin or his helper, Lewis.
All right, Peter. You may as well come back here to the field office.
You had no luck either,
I fared much better.
You mean you found that contract in the Menard apartment?
Yes, I sent the paper down to the lab for analysis. By the time you get back here, we should have a report on it. I gotta get out of here, Mr. Franklin.
Easy, Louis. We'd be picked up in a minute if we left here.
I gotta get to a doctor. My whole arm now is burning like it was on fire.
You mustn't complain. We were lucky to find this empty barge to hide in.
I can't stand it. Honest.
You'll survive, I'm sure.
Yeah. You can talk. You ain't got a slug in you. I don't want to die. If I stay here, I'll die.
Believe me, I sympathize with you, but you have the counter spies to thank for your pain, not me.
I'm getting to a doctor.
Wait a minute.
Let go.
Are you crazy? You'll be caught.
I'm giving up. I'll wind up in one piece that way.
Get back down.
Oh, my arm.
You're not giving up. I'm not letting you.
That gun ain't going to help you, Franklin. You fire one shot, and coppers will be swarming all over the spot.
I'm not going to use it for firing, Lewis. I'm going to use the butt end for another purpose. There.
Here's the lab report on that paper, Mr. Harding. I was on the way in when Parker handed it to me.
Did you look it over, Peter?
Quickly. It's an expensive type bomb.
Yeah.
And here's a list of retailers in the city who handle it.
That's quite a long list.
Mm-hmm. Should I assign squads to start investigation?
Yes, right away.
Okay, we'll do.
And Peter... Oh, wait, just a minute.
Agent Braden to Harding. Braden to Harding.
Come in, Braden.
The body of a man who'd been shot in the right arm was found a few minutes ago by one of our harbor patrols.
Hey, go ahead, Braden.
It was found in an empty barge. Report indicates death was due to severe blows at the base of the head. Identification in clothing shows him to be Louis Troy.
All right, Braden. Thank you.
The man called Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chief, that leaves one to go. Franklin.
Yes. Well, I'll get to work on that list of paper dealers. We'll see where that leads us.
Hello. This is Franklin. I have to see you tonight. Please. I'll need money. I'd better leave the country. All right, then. The swamp over in New Jersey. All right. I'll be there at 10 tonight. So late. I thought you weren't coming.
I was unavoidably detained, Franklin.
You brought the money for me, Mrs. Milford?
I brought exactly what you need. Franklin, you fumbled badly.
You ordered me to get rid of Juan Menard. That was your idea.
It wasn't my idea that his body should be found.
That was Louis' fault.
It was your fault for choosing such an inefficient lieutenant. Was it Lewis's fault that you permitted that contract to get out of your hands so that you had to come to the Menard apartment while I was there?
How did I know you were there? I had to act quickly.
So quickly you were almost caught by Harding. Franklin, your stupidity has put the entire cause in jeopardy. I and the others worked for months, years, to gain a solid foothold in Puerto Rico, where we could threaten the snug bourgeois safety of the United States.
But I tell you...
Be quiet. It took me years to place myself in a position in New York where I could help with the eventual overthrow of the capitalistic enemy. And you almost spoiled everything.
You haven't been exposed, Mrs. Milford. You can still operate safely.
Through no help of yours. You put our schedule for the coup in Puerto Rico at least 6 months behind.
We've waited so long, we can wait that much longer.
Perhaps we can, Franklin. But you can't.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
You can no longer be trusted.
Now, wait.
I have been put in charge of this phase of our work. And it is my opinion that for the good of the cause, you should be liquidated. Don't move.
But...
As they say, Franklin, he who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. Or in this case, the gun.
You wouldn't dare.
As a matter of fact, Franklin, this is the only course I dare take now.
Oh, wait, please.
This meeting place you chose makes it very convenient for me.
And for me, too, Mrs. Milford.
Harding.
Drop that gun. Stand where you are, Franklin.
I'm not moving.
How did you get here?
Simple. We followed you, Mrs. Milford.
Followed me.
Through that contract paper. We thought the tracing of that type paper would lead us to Franklin, but it led us straight to your phony charity front. And on the way out in the car, my agents radioed me that they found some very interesting case histories in your files, with names and addresses of people here and in Puerto Rico involved in this plot.
Had a nice setup, didn't you, Mrs. Milford? Passing yourself off as a welfare worker in a Puerto Rican district in New York.
You were a welfare worker, all right. The welfare of the enemies of this country and Puerto Rico. Take them away, Peter. It gives me great pleasure to introduce a statement to Counterspy from the man who probably knows as much as anyone in the United States about the Puerto Rican people and their welfare problems here. The Honorable Raymond M. Hilliard, Commissioner of Welfare, City of New York. Here is Commissioner Hilliard's statement.
Today's Counterspy story has its basis in actual fact. I can well believe that many Puerto Ricans living here have been the victims of cruel and crooked exploitation. And I am convinced that communist saboteurs have deliberately stirred up trouble and have tried to wreck the unity of the citizens of this city and of the nation. I know that there was a time when communists had achieved a strong hold among those engaged in welfare work in this city. But it has been my task during the past 2.5 years to break their power, to throw out the communists, and to return welfare work to its proper place as an instrument of lawful government. We have found the Puerto Rican residents of New York City a decent and friendly people who hold that this government is their government. We are proud of them, and we know that they will not be deceived by those who would try to destroy us.
Thank you, Commissioner Hilliard.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Pretty Plant.
A gracious guest brings her hospitable hostess a most unusual gift, and your counterspies are started on their way to the breaking up of an international spy ring. How a drugstore led to the disaster when treason had the fragrance of hyacinth will be revealed for the first time next week in
Case of the Pretty Plant on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Mark B. Loeb, dramatized by Edward J. Adamson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. Want to know who's on the big show tonight? Bob Hope, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, Rosalind Russell, Frankie Lane, Dorothy McGuire, Louis Armstrong, Meredith Wilson, and the glamorous and predictable Tallulah. No wonder it's the big show. And Sunday evening also means another outstanding production by Theater Guild on the Air. Tonight, it's Boomerang starring Kirk Douglas. Join Tallulah and her wonderful guests on the big show later on NBC.